into the wall. That is a horrible crash.
Too wide now, door to door. Max Verstappen among the darkness. Max Verstappen able to safely rejoin, but slots it right in front of another car.
Carousel immediately, he gets punted off. That was Saavedra. Aguilar, he's gone off. He's been tapped and he's into the barriers. Oh, the rejoin. Oh no.
Dean. Oh, Pedro, Dean.
Oh, Chris Lawler does have the inside track for the Swiss left. If he's able to make that pass happen, he might be able to cut away Victorino. He does make that pass, and he makes it clean as they come into the right hand. And this is it. Chris Lawler seizes the opportunity and makes it. And just as the end, the rain comes to put a pin onto the end of the race, and Chris Lawler takes it.
Right there, big Miranda, Pedro Zuba into the wall.
It's actually Valero. Valero's actually gone off into the barriers, coming up to the cutting.
David Todd making his way back up, has already climbed 7 positions.
Oh, I spoke too soon there. Sandy goes up.
So right now, this is going to be where it's going to get shaken up. David Todd passes them while they are in the pit through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
So we have 3-way battle going to the most dangerous turn of the mountain. Up the mountain, we have contact right there. These guys going absolutely crazy. It's going to come down to the final corner, Murray's corner. Who is going to have to lead? We may have a drag race to the finish line on our hands, folks. You see David Todd right now going into the pit lane. And another beautiful day out here outside of Virginia International Raceway. Welcome back, everybody. Season 6 of the AMX Sim Racing World Championship, where we got another exciting AMX ZERO race going on our hands. We're heading out there in the Cadillac CTS-V GT car. It's been heating up all season long, especially since we came back from the break. But joining us in the booth, I am Kevin. Alongside me today, we got Julian. Julian, like I mentioned, it's been a crazy AMX ZERO season so far. A lot of people out here. We already have a couple familiar faces out there on the grid today as well.
Yeah, and I've said this throughout the entire season, and I'm going to continue to say, for me, AMX ZERO has been the absolute highlight of AMX Season 6. Just great battles throughout Heat 1 and Heat 2. You had some controversial moments as well throughout the season. Honestly, I think AMX ZERO has been a great addition to this season.
Absolutely. But before we end up checking in on our drivers and qualifying, we have a few things to go over out here today. Again, I mean, I can't believe we've been out here. It's almost the end of the season. And again, all the championships, AMX ZERO, AMX 5, 10, 15, no matter what it's been, we've had a lot of great battles all season long. So for everyone out there watching live, make sure also follow all of our social medias. But right now, like I said, we have a few housekeeping things to go over. First of all, we've been out here since September 7th, and we're going all the way out through November 17th with this season's prize pool of $11,000 plus next level racing gear. Our format goes as follows for AMX ZERO. We got that 15-minute qualifier, followed by that top 15 reverse grid, going into heat number 1 of 20 minutes, followed by that second top 15 reverse grid into that final heat number 2 of 20 minutes. For everyone out there on the field, driver cams are required. You can get the link via our AMX Discord or head on over to our website. Payouts are done in balances over $100 paid out every single month. So once your account hits that $100 threshold, expect that money headed your way. We are here every single Saturday and Sunday this season. So like I said, make sure to catch us every single weekend. We only got a couple of weeks left today and next week. But if you still want to get out there, you can sign up anytime over at amxrace.com. And our schedule looks as follows. Like I mentioned, every single weekend out here this season, kicking it off on Saturdays with AMX ZERO at 5:50 p.m. GMT, followed by AMX 5 right after at 7:10. On Sundays, we're going to be wrapping up our AMX 10 TCR World Tour, where we are starting that one 5:50 p.m. GMT with the second race right after at 7:20. And on the opposite weekends, we got our AMX 15 mini endurance races starting at 5:50 p.m. So it's really close championship for that one. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, check in on our Twitch. We will have a great finale coming up next weekend. And the prize goes as following. So keep in mind, AMX ZERO open to everyone, absolutely free. We still got prizes starting in qualifying with $5 going to first place, $4 going to second, third gets $3, and points awarded all the way down into 15th place. And the same follows for heat number 1 as well as heat number 2, with those race heats getting an extra $1 for the person that sets the fastest lap, coming to a total prize pool per race of $73. And Julian, definitely one of my favorite track car combinations as far as just getting out there, getting into iRacing. I mean, the Cadillacs and Virginia International Raceway couldn't ask for a better combo for AMX ZERO.
Absolutely, and here it is then, Virginia International Raceway full course. It's 3.27 miles long, or 5.26 kilometers. It's located in Alton, Virginia, hence the name. It's got 17 turns, 9 to the right and 8 to the left. And a lot of racing series race around here, IMSA and the GT World Challenge America, and it's mostly known for its high-speed straights and also its challenging corners like Oak Tree and Roller Coaster. And like you mentioned, Kevin, this is the car that they will be taking around it, the Cadillac CTS-V. It's boosting a supercharged 6.2 liter V8 engine with 460 horsepower rear wheel drive, and its weight, it's just under 1.5 tons. This car around this track will produce some seriously good racing and side-by-side action.
Absolutely. I mean, like I mentioned, definitely one of the most fun free cars out there in iRacing. Well, I say free, I mean included in the service, but definitely, especially around Virginia International Raceway, we should really be able to see this car spread its legs. But now we're going to check in on qualifying, see where our drivers are doing. Like I mentioned earlier, we got a couple of familiar names. Of course, a lot of people have been here from AMX. A couple have been joining us out here. You guys see out there the Barrichello name. We got Felipe Barrichello Parks out on field with us today, as well as Judah Barrichello. A couple of people out there, Ralph Benitez, Igor Becker Pereira. So we're gonna have to keep an eye out on him as well. One of these guys that little bit name, one of those names that isn't quite as familiar for AMX. But for everyone out there watching live, feel free to scan the QR code on the screen, catch all of the live timing information that we got up here in the booth. So definitely a lot of South American drivers out there representing today on track, Julian.
But it's certainly a bit of a trend here in AMX that 90% of our drivers are from South America, and most of the time they end up winning, especially in AMX ZERO, unless you have a certain Frenchman to stop them. But right now we're on board with Martin Chico, and I absolutely love this track. As you head through the mini S section, you absolutely just attack the curbs and then the elevation change. I mean, this track, like we both already mentioned, it's such a classic, especially in American motorsports. And we're just over halfway through qualifying right now, and it seems like Ralph Benitez has got the edge over the very informed Judah Barrichello.
And here we go. Still, yeah, got to see Martin Chico out here last weekend, Gaston Culavi. So quite a few of these guys, you know, of course, like I don't think how many races have these guys not missed. I mean, we're definitely going to have to check up on that, as well as Jackson Senjay. So I was talking about this before stream. Got to see Jackson Senjay out there. Delita Esports, Tony Kanan, these guys, I mean, just absolutely great time anytime we see them out on the track. But right now, we'll have to see, as we are just over halfway through qualifying, maybe a little bit more than halfway through, and still it's Ralph Benitez at the top spot, 147.102. So I'm going to expect there to be probably quite the battle going on between him and Judah Barrichello. Of course, both of those guys just absolutely blazing it out here, the two Brazilians. Julian, we're going to have to wait and see if we end up having us a Brazilian 1, 2, 3 atop the podium today.
I would not be surprised, but another factor to take in is the reverse grid. As we do have less than 15 drivers, everyone's going to be affected by it, so it doesn't matter if you're on pole by a second or so. If you cannot fight your way through the field, which it is possible around a track like this, but it's also very, very tight. You do have some heavy braking zones where you can contend, but also very tight and a lot of elevation change. So it's going to be tricky for the top guys to make their way through, especially if the time gaps are so close. You can see there the top four, or sorry, P3 and P4 very close together, less than 2/10 then. So I think it'll come down to the wire, especially in Heat 1 and Heat 2. Historically, Heat 2 is a bit more chaotic than Heat 1, as everyone starts to absolutely push for the maximum points you can get in the AMX ZERO weekend.
Yeah, one thing out here for AMX ZERO, so it is a little bit less time out here for qualifying than we got to see. But right there, Judah Barrichello jumping to the top of the board. And right now, we get to see, of course, one of these faces that we don't see too often out here, a bit of a newcomer. Like I said, it's great to see ages all old and young. This might be our youngest competitor ever out here for AMX. That is Igor Becker Pereira Foguete. So, again, a long name. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I don't have the best Portuguese out here, but definitely it's great, like I mentioned, to see so many sim racers out here, young and old, all throughout the grid. So absolutely huge shout out here. And so far it is that Brazilian 1, 2, 3 on the top of the board. I think prior to this, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it may have been Aaron Vasquez joining us, was the youngest sim racer out here for AMX, but now that spot coming out to Igor. So definitely going to be one, and he's still in third place. So absolutely, this kid has a great future in sim racing ahead of him.
Wow, well, this is something I've never seen before, and he's doing, like you said, very well in P3. And if he's doing that at his age, I just cannot wait to see if I'm still here in 10 years' time or so. Because I mean, he's gonna be very good if he starts that young. I think all my hopes of being a professional esports racing driver have just been shattered after seeing that he's doing very well. But still, Duro Barrichello then, as we have seen before from him, leading by 3 or so tenths than Jack Sunday, currently in P5, and everyone has set a lap time except Barrios then, who's currently on a lap time, I believe, further down the track.
Yeah, and like I said, this week we are back to our kind of normal AMX ZERO races. Last week, and we were out here in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 2 light trucks. That was an absolutely big chaos. I mean, a lot of people have been out here saying, hey man, we need some more dirt races going on for AMX, and we got it. It was definitely entertaining. An absolute heartbreak of an ending out there, especially for Liam Mora, who an absolute veteran out in the trucks in iRacing. And he had the win in the bag, but unfortunately ran out of fuel at the very last moment. So again, some of these guys in that race last week, and so we're going to see a few of them kind of, I would not say as much surprise as just it's great to see these guys be able to put it down in both on the pavement and out on the dirt. But right now still, Santiago Barrios still slightly struggling to get a lap on the board. So again, like I mentioned, out here, Virginia International Raceway, a decently long track, one of these American tracks that has a little bit of everything, but one thing it does have is a lot of straights out here. So Santiago Barrios, it's going to be cutting it close out here if he's going to be able to get a lap time in. But like I said, nonetheless, we got that top 15 reverse grid. Everyone out here on the track will be making that reverse grid. So, ooh, it looks like that might have been very close to an off track there. So Santiago Barrios looking like right now he may be sitting in the front once we head into heat number 1.
Yeah, and that very much could be an advantage if you're just able to keep up with the drivers. And we have seen before slow drivers being able to defend around other tracks, maybe not a track around like this where, like you said, long straights, slipstream and all of that, but they can very much defend, especially if you're that much slower or just like 2 seconds off the pace or so. You can defend from them, and I think he'll be able to do it if he starts up. Well, if he can just get a good run down towards, well, turn 2 is the first proper braking zone, and if he can just lead away from there, the 20 minutes or so from the lead, I think he's got it. But he'll have to watch out one man, and that man is Duro Barrichello then, who is still in pole position then. And like you said, Kevin, Brazilian 1, 2, 3. Well, it's happened even before we got to lights out.
And out here too, so there's about 30 seconds left remaining in this qualifying session. We still got a couple people out there. Duro Barrichello is still trying to get out here, set an even faster lap. And I mean, still sitting on top of the board. We just see this guy getting faster and faster, as we've seen pretty much all season long. So, and he does it once again, a 146.757 up there on the board. So definitely, it's about 3 tenths right now between himself and Ralph Benitez. Ralph Benitez sitting in the pits will not be able to get in one more lap time. So that's pretty much looking where it stands as closing of the qualifying. Qualifying comes to closing right now. We got Duro Barrichello setting it down. And of course, pretty much it seems like every single race, Duro Barrichello, he is going to be up there in that top spot. Of course, the Brazilian driver out there putting it down in real life in the Brazilian Stock Car Series. So great to see him out here. Great to see what he's doing out there. But nonetheless, your BenQ session winner out here for qualifying. We got Duro Barrichello up there in P1, a 146.757, just absolutely blazing it around here on the track. In second place, we got Ralph Benitez. Third, we got Igor Borguete. In fourth, we got Martin Chico. Fifth, Jackson Asenje. Sixth, Gaston Culavi. Seventh, we got Felipe Barrichello Bartz. Eighth, Evandro Dantas. Ninth, Andres Bertoni. 10th, Santiago Barrios, which unfortunately Barrios unable to set an official lap time. So Virginia, Julian, definitely can be a bit of a tricky course if you can't really tame the vehicle. Like I said, it's a great combination, but it's still one of the more difficult ones we've seen out here for AMX ZERO.
Sector 1 being very tricky, those fast 90-degree corners coming up you thick and fast. You really need to sacrifice turn 5 to get a good run out of turn 6 on that little mini straight and out of the S sections. But we're just moments away from the start now, then, as it will be, they are on the pit lane, so I believe it is a rolling start. It is a rolling start, yeah.
And now all of our drivers gridding up, getting ready to go out here. It's going to be a great day. So, of course, right now, starting from the pit lane, got the safety car out there, the Porsche pace car, getting ready to set it. And yeah, I mean, if we are in the pits right now, that makes it pretty clear we're going to be doing an entire formation lap. So with only 10 drivers out there on the grid, it's definitely going to make it interesting. I think just from what we've seen all season long from AMX ZERO, once we have the Barrichellos out on the field, I think, you know, I'm going to go out and say it right now, that is probably going to be my pick for the race of the day, Julian.
I can certainly understand that. I mean, the action they've provided for us, just thinking back to when it was the F3 cars, just absolutely sending it, forcing the move, and kind of need to do the same here. You really need to force a move, especially into a turn like this, turn 2. That can be a good overtaking spot if you're on the inside, because then you've got the inside to the to turn 3 right after that, and then after that turn 4 and 5, very much a one-line corner, so you can't go side by side there at all without losing a bunch of time. Then I do think we've got a great race, not too many drivers, so hopefully there should not be too much chaos, and because you never like to see cars spinning and flipping as we have seen in AMX ZERO and all the AMX races really.
Yeah, looking out. So went to check, and of course I knew I was pronouncing it wrong. So Igor, last name is Foguete. So I got to see out there someone in chat, Porco Prato, we love you out there, bro. Got to see a lot of our Brazilian bros out in the chat, a lot of people just every single week in, week out. Foguete meaning rocket, and that kid is absolutely been a rocket out here. So he did pretty good in qualifying as well, just back there, I mean, towards the top of the pack. I think for anyone to be able to get in here, just get on top of the leaderboards. Whether you are new to AMX, whether you're new to iRacing, it shows a lot, especially seeing out there Class C license out on the field, but this kid does not care. He's definitely putting it down. I'm sure I'd love to see what these guys do out in the kart. So nonetheless, still out here as we still take on our long formation lap, not even about halfway through the course yet. Like I said, Virginia International Raceway, decently long course out here. Got to see it earlier on, 5.25 kilometers roughly, just about over 3.25 miles. So one of the longer tracks out there. But now we can see the running order. Santiago Barrios, I mean, like I said, didn't have the best of qualifying out here today, but he will be on that pole position going into this heat number 1. So he's going to set the pace of the race. Hopefully he can get out there and defend extremely well, but he has a few guys behind him. Well, Andres Bertoni, another one of these guys, unfamiliar name to AMX, but still, we'll have to see where he does. The Uruguay flag out there. Of course, one of the other guys that is famously known on AMX from being from Uruguay is Diego Villarreal, which I don't think we see Villarreal out on track today. So maybe we'll have to catch up with him later on. Like, I know a lot of stuff going on this weekend, but nonetheless, still great to see everyone out here that made it today. Julian, again, I mean, we've been out here for a few different weeks. Is there anything else that we have besides predictions of who's going to win? What else do you think we're going to see out here in heat number 1?
Well, I think in the script for AMX ZERO, there's a point which is like someone misses their braking point, because it happens pretty much every race. Someone just goes careering into a turn, missing their braking zone, or just, I don't know, like you said last week, you guys were out on the dirt track. If you go sideways there after a jump, then you've completely screwed your braking point there. So I think we will see someone careering into someone, especially in the hard braking zone. So think at the end of the pit straight, for example, going into turn 2 then, but also at the end of the long straight going into what I believe is turn 11 or 12. I'm not too sure, so that can very much happen. But we're about to get underway then, and you can already see how close they are, bumper to bumper then, as now they go, and it's a pretty decent start there for Santiago Barrios, who's got a great jump then in the lead. Behind that, it's 2 by 2 pretty much all the way to 9th place, then as 10th place just setting in behind, still side by side between P3 and P4 then. Seems like Jackson Resende has gone the best of Evandro Dantas there. And we have a spinner there. That's the number 99 car, and that is Martin Chico there into the grass.
Yeah, so unfortunate incident already. Martin Chico, Evandro Dantas there. We'll have to see again. It's not much time, and another spin out right there. That looks like that might be number 10, yeah, Santiago Barrios. So unfortunate timeout here for some of the Argentinian drivers. Felipe Barrichello parts now off into the wall, losing a rear bumper. So again, the chaos has ensued out in lap number 1. Maybe not exactly where we thought it was going to happen. And these guys going off track. So definitely we had a full formation lap, but these guys starting to either miss their braking markers or just not used to the tires. I mean, this car, it's such a heavy car, you'd think that the tires would warm up very quick, but I mean, just how slow they're going around that formation lap. We didn't see a lot of swerving going on, trying to heat up those tires, so definitely with all that weight, these guys are struggling to find grip out here on the track. We'll have to see, because right now, let's let Jack Vicente, Gaston Kulavi up in front of the pack, and here as well, we have Igor, again, the newcomer, one of the youngest drivers that we got to see out here, putting it down, showing he's already made his way through the majority of the pack, up 5 positions, but he has Duda Barrichello right behind him as well. So we'll have to see if Barrichello is going to get back up on the podium.
I don't think it's a matter of if more when, but right now, Fugicha, he's got a rocket strapped to the back of that Cadillac, and he's looking make a move to the inside. I think he can beat Barrichello right now if he just always tries to have one car between him and Barrichello, kind of as a mobile chicane them, but Barrichello trying to follow through, and he's done that very nicely. Both of them getting past Gaston Colavi in turn 3 and 4, Complex and Fugicha Barrichello up towards P2 and P3. They've now got Jackson Resende in front of them, which is not going to be an easy pass at all. Jackson Resende was very much a quick guy during qualifying, and he's got a pretty healthy lead of 7.5 tenths as they make their way through sector 1 of lap 2.
And just looking out here at the number 1 car, Fugicha, I mean, just this kid, just seeing how absolutely focused he is out there on the track. I mean, I'd love to see what he can do in a go-kart. I'm sure we can catch up later, but there we can see the picture-in-picture, the incident of the replay just right there after the start. That looked like the number 32 of Evandro Dantas getting the worst of that one, sliding off into the grass. So, like I said, a lot of stuff out here. Everyone out there in chat too. Motor Fugicha, definitely everyone cheering on. I think definitely the underdog of the race. So, especially whenever he's put up against the likes of Barrichello, Jackson Essentially. So some of these guys out here, absolute veterans, been putting it down. So, I mean, definitely it's going to be exciting to see as we have a Brazilian 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful move right there. Ralph Benitez, oh, in the back. It looks like Martin Chico just getting into the back of Gaston Kulavi a little bit. So Kulavi having to concede that spot and just trying to slow down, maybe brake a little bit earlier, and Martin Chico just absolutely just sending it. So we'll have to see. Luckily, it doesn't look like there is too much damage after that incident.
Luckily, that's a very tricky corner, especially if you want to go side by side, as it's first uphill and then you jump down the crest towards the start finish line. So going side by side through there, I doubt we'll see 2 cars survive through it, but if we do, then hats off to them. Not the easiest thing to do at all, but Fugicha, he has pulled up to Resende. Resende goes a bit wide, and they are pretty much nose to tail. Look at Barrichello, also very close to Fugicha, so he needs to look in front, both are behind. And here's what happened to Barrios. So it seems like he already lost it before, and then he just got the finishing touch there by who I'm assuming is Jackson Resende there. So they already lost the rear end coming out of the S section, out of turn 6, and then Resende just giving him a little tap then just to finish the kill pretty much.
Yeah, we can see out here on track again, a lot of the stuff out here. AMX ZERO free to join. We got still next weekend going to be our grand finale going on, as well as make sure everyone follow all of our stuff. Go to the website to see the schedule, especially for what we got coming in the works for season 7. So definitely make sure to check in on that. But now, like one of the drivers kind of a little bit slower on pace, going kind of dropping back there, that red car. But now we're still focusing towards the front of the pack. Fugicha just doing an absolutely amazing job, but he has Martin Chico. Chico already up 3 positions from the start. We got Barrichello up front. So Duda Barrichello already up 8 positions. So far, our biggest mover of the day.
I think Fugetcha made a mistake somewhere because Barrichello got past him and he's 1.8 seconds behind him. So we might see a move here either for P3 by Martin Chico or for P1 even by Duda Barrichello on Jackson Resende. So Fugetcha he needs to find his rhythm again. That's pretty much how it goes in AMX ZERO. But down the inside goes Martin Chico at turn 2 then, and we've seen this before. Another driver trying to follow through, and Gaston Calavi has done exactly that. What Fugetcha and Duda Barrichello did to him just 2 laps ago. It's now Fugetcha down to P5, so I think he made a mistake. Maybe he ran a bit wide somewhere, missed his braking point because he went from P2 to being P3, quite far away from the leaders. But Barrichello still trailing Resende, Chico out of Kalhavi, and here we go. The leaders, look how close they are. Now I think we might see a move either this lap or at the beginning of the next lap. You can see there 1/10 quicker Barrichello than Resende, of course trailing back a bit in sector 2 where being behind the car you can't really go as full beams as you want to. But I think we're about to see a move for the lead, and here's what happened to Barrichello. Seems like he did make a mistake or something, or maybe he did just go overtaken and I just missed that. Oh yeah, onto the grass there it seems like. Oh, that's not Barrichello, that's Barrios I believe from lap 1 there. So slight picks missed, but here we go then. Barrichello on Resende, down the straight they go towards turn 12 and 13, and I think Barrichello has got that move even before they head to the crest. Yes they do, or still side by side with Jackson Resende and Barrichello down the crest they plunge. This is exactly where I thought 2 cars would come together. There's a bit of door banging between them and wheel banging, but he's got that move done.
Yeah, and I was looking there, I mean, just looking at the actual driver cams down there in the bottom left, looked like there's just a bit of a snap oversteer there. So again, I mean, there's a lot of times that it's hard to tell in the heat of the moment. You know, some of these guys, definitely what we've seen all season long, there's been a little bit of some drivers getting heated at times. But like I said, especially out in these cars, one, just how heavy these cars are and how much power is getting put down to those rear wheels. It's so easy to just slightly lose control out here. It's not the easiest car. So a lot of people, although it is one of those cars that is, you know, part of the base content, a little bit of, hey, free cars, one of those lower license ratings in iRacing. So just because you have all those factors in there does not mean that it's an easy car to tame. And we've got to see it even from some of the best drivers. You have to really be focused the entire time, be on top of it. But right now, too, you can see is there's a little bit of a gap now between second and third place. So Jackson Sanchez still trying to hold on to the draft of Barrichello there up in front. So Duda Barrichello, we said it at the beginning of the stream, we knew that he was going to be up there, great position to be on podium, as well as we thought, hey, they're very good chance to be a Brazilian 1-2-3 out there. Right now, Martin Chico interrupting that. We have a battle for P4 going on as well, Julian.
Yep, and it is the youngster Fugetcha. He's trying to line up a move. He's currently half a second back, so he needs to close in a bit more. I'd say once you're within 3, maybe 2.5 tenths, you can make a move down this straight, and as is a long straight with this slipstream, and he is certainly closing up, practically pushing Martin Chico. Now through, you can see there in the picture as Barrichello, he's pulling a small gap ever so slightly, but Resende, he's not, he's staying with him, so hats off to him for staying with him for so long, and he is still within striking range where Barrichello, he needs to check his mirrors and he can't make a mistake at all. But down the main straight we go. Can Fugetcha make a move, or will he have to look in his rearview mirrors instead? He's pretty much in no man's land. He's too far back to make a move. Instead he needs to look behind on Ralph Benitez then, who also can't make a move. So it seems like you just need close in, especially through sector 1, then turns 2, 3, 4 and 5 here as well. Such a tricky turn to now because you're already entering at an angle, decreasing radius, and then you've got the very tight turns 5A and 5B, and Fugetcha they're going a bit wide then, and I think Ralph Benitez, he's going to try the left to right switchback, try to get the better run onto this low mini straight through the S's, and he's really closing up on him now with the slipstream. Can he make the move? He's closing. I think he's going to look to the outside, but I think Fugetcha has closed that off and he's just going to wait behind for now.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the fastest lap, so still it is set by Duda Barrichello right now, but Igor Fugetcha is only 0.02 of a second slower than Duda Barrichello out here on track. So definitely this kid has absolutely amazing pace. It looks like he's starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Like we said, out here on this car, especially Virginia International Raceway, one of those tracks that you cannot really be making any mistakes. You have to absolutely keep the focus. So I think right there, that is just showing the experience of Duda Barrichello. The biggest difference that has put him up in the lead is just his lack of mistakes. I mean, I've got to see a few times out here that both Barrichellos have been out on track that a lot of people say, you know what, would be great to see out here if we got these guys, if we had them, as well as Delita getting Tony Kanaan out here on track, getting Max Verstappen, and just having an absolute battle of titans out here for AMX. And I mean, I couldn't agree more. That would be absolutely crazy to see out on track. But right now, we are lap number 7 out of 11 laps in heat number 1. Your running order still Duda Barrichello up front, Jackson Asenge and Martin Chico.
And right bottom that, you have the battle for P4 groom. Then Ralph Benitez is lining up Igor Fugecha. Then the Rocket, he's having a look to the inside. Then you can't make a move there. Really, you got to wait for a straight. You need to get a good run, and I think he has gone for it. That's slightly optimistic, and he's got that move, and he saw the space on the inside, and that's what we said, Kevin. You kind of need to be bold with your move. You need to force them if you want to make the overtake in sector 1 or really anywhere around this track, and he did just that. He's picked up P4. That's a great move by Ralph Benitez. Maybe now he can set off after the podium and Martin Chico to try and restore hope into the Brazilian 1, 2, and 3.
And yeah, definitely, again, Fugecha was doing really good job. He's still up 3 positions from where he was at the start of this race, but like I said, it's just tire management around here is going to be a big thing in these, especially just in iRacing. And there's a lot of people that go back and forth between iRacing as well as other sims, just kind of say, you know what, I really hope that they start to slightly adjust their tire physics. You don't really get flat spots out here, but it's one of those of, hey, if you lock up, if you get a little bit loose out there, that rear end starts to kick around, it's going to take a little bit for those tires to kind of cool back down, get back on pace, and you're just going to be leading into understeer. So one thing I've seen a lot of people say is that understeering leads to more understeering out here in iRacing. So I think that's really what we've seen from Fugecha is just, like I said, those couple of instances where he made a small mistake here or there. Right now, Ralph Benitez in 4th place. Fugecha just right behind him, about 0.75 seconds. So we'll have to wait and see as the draft is closing in on that. Sorry, that's Fugecha, Benitez, and now Kulavi getting in the mix of things as well.
Yeah, Kulavi's joined the party. So right now you've got Martin Chico, Ralph Benitez, Igor Fugecha, and Gaston Kulavi, all 4 of them fighting for that 1 P3 finish. You've got 2 Argentines versus 2 Brazilians. So it can be anyone on that P3 spot, especially if Chico, he cannot make a mistake. One lockup or one piece of oversteer, one snap oversteer, getting on the grass, on entrance, on exit, he cannot afford anything like that. He needs to drive a perfect race right now because Ralph Benitez, he's found 6th gear and he's absolutely pushing and he wants this podium, and honestly, I think he might get it. He's driving very well right now on the limit. You can just see how much he's closing in virtually there, practically pushing now Martin Chico down as they head onto the main straight now, or the back straight.
And I got to see out there in chat as well, saying for Igor Fugecha, that looks like his grandpa out there in the YouTube chat. So we love to see that. We love to see everyone out here, whenever they're racing, just to see a family affair. Everyone out there cheering them on. So whether you're family, friends, or anywhere in between, just out there cheering on your fellow countrymen, no matter what it is, we love the camaraderie out here for AMX. Right now, we are in lap number 8 of 11 still. Ralph Benitez trying to battle his way onto the podium, just so close he can taste it, but he still has the number 99 of Martin Chico right in front of him, doing a great job just defending for his life. Of course, you got to see early on Martin Chico, a couple really, I wouldn't say questionable incidents, but between himself and Jackson Asenge, those guys were battling very hard. Again, Jackson Asenge now about almost 2.5 seconds over, but here the number 6 going to the inside. Will Benitez get it side by side? Looks like he might. There's a little bit of contact there. The rear end getting loose from the number 6 of Benitez, and now Martin Chico. We have the side by side going into this long left-hander. Now who's going to come out in front? It's still going to be Martin Chico, just barely able to hold on to that. But again, these guys starting to catch up as well to Jackson Asenge, so it looks like Jackson making a slight mistake there going into turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, it went wide onto the grass. They're lucky to keep his car pointing the right direction. So easy to spin, but he certainly lost. I mean, he's lost like 2.2 seconds there. Is now Chico, he's found some motivation. He might be able to get P2, or if he can just pick up the pace a bit and then catch up to Ascendant, because once you're in the slipstream, it's hard to get out of it since there's so many straights. The longest one they're coming up to right now, but then there's also the main straight, also very long. Also the mini straight out of the S's and to the turn just before the long straight. So can Ralph Benitez now make a move on like Chico? The thing is now Chico has also got the slipstream, not as strong as the effect, being almost 7/10 behind Resende, but he's still got some sort of effect for it, as all three of them now seem like Fugecha has dropped off a bit. So we now have a fight for P2 on our hands then, with just over 2 laps to go.
So yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye on the battle going up in the middle of the pack, as well as the battle back here. I mean, I guess it's not really a battle for the lead anymore due to Barrichello already up over 4.5 seconds over Jackson Sanjay. So he just, like I said earlier, gets faster and faster with every lap. Currently still has the fastest lap up on the leaderboard. Doesn't look like it's gotten any better than it was earlier, so definitely it looks, but right there we got to see Ralph Benitez make the move over Martin Chico, and oh, Chico going around, so the number 6, oh, sorry, that was Benitez. Ralph Benitez going around, and unfortunately, it's so unfortunate to see an incident like that this late on in the race. He was out there trying to get back up, battling for the podium spot, but now that's going to take the pressure off Martin Chico. Now there's over a second gap between him and Fugecha right behind him, but now it's left Fugecha out there again. We'll have to take a replay to see exactly what happened right there, Julian.
Such a tricky one to call. That's the risk of on the inside. You risk just getting on that curb a bit too much and then getting pinched on the inside as well. Turn 2, I mean, we've said it's an overtaking spot, but you really need to be alongside going into the corner already. It's not really a turn where you can overtake on the brakes. And I think that's what I tried, but I think we will get a replay to confirm that. But like you said, that's certainly relieved the pressure of Jackson Resenda and even Martin Chico then, who is now in P3. Fugecha, he's caught up a bit. Gaston Calavi also not too far back then, but look at this lovely little helicopter shot of these 3 Cadillacs racing away up the crest they go, and then they plunge once again back down. And here's a fun fact for everyone sitting at home. My first ever iRacing race was around this track right here. It wasn't the full course, it was the shortened one, but fun fact, it was in the Formula Ray, I believe, and no, I did not win it, unfortunately. But right now it seems like Duda Barrichello is winning this race in the Cadillac around the full course of Virginia International Raceway.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was one of those cars that I tried very early on, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing out here in the Cadillac, just absolutely bending into the wall. And I think I've had a bit of a habit of doing that way too much anytime. So even whenever getting here, but there we can see a quick replay of the incident there. The number 6 on the inside. Oh, that. From here, that definitely looked like that was quite a bit of net code. So, again, we'll have to see. The final word always goes down to the racing stewards if something happens like that or someone puts in a protest. But, I mean, just from that quick replay, from this angle, it looks like, man, there was still room. That I'm going to chalk that one up to possibly, I mean, a racing incident due to that net code. So, only bad thing about iRace. But right now, we can see Fugecha, that right wheel just absolutely smashed Julian.
Yeah, and I thought first it was a netcode issue because we've seen it before, but it is completely off the suspension. I mean, it's being held by probably one suspension bar or so, maybe even a cable. I think he is retiring there, so yeah, I think that's where the inexperience might come in. I mean, it reminds me a lot about a young Verstappen or just a young racer qualifying super quick, but when it comes to actual racecraft and knowing how to divide your pace up, you got to learn that, and the only way to learn that is through failure. And he's learned right now that you shouldn't go full send at the start, but just wait a bit. Now he will start on the front row, so that's something that'll be very interesting. Him and Felipe Bartspin, but Duda Barrichello, as we expected, wins Heat 1.
Yep, coming out here. So Duda Barrichello crossing the checkered flag, the number 91, making it look too easy again. I mean, every time we see him out on track, we always say, man, we would absolutely love to see him out here for AMX 5, AMX 10, AMX 15, no matter what it might be. But again, as many South Americans that we have out here, I think for season 7 we might have to see some more stock cars out here. I know we got to see that in the very early days of AMX, but I think a lot of these drivers would love to get back out here, as well as seen a few people out in the IndyCar series, some F4. So I mean, you know, like I said, you guys definitely stay tuned, check out all of our socials as well as the website, see what we got coming on. But there we have now Santiago Barrios and Evandro Dantas. Whoa, see what happened there. Evandro Dantas, a bit of a shunt there. So yeah, these two drivers, again, not sure if there's anything, you know, I want to say any drama that we've seen throughout the season, but definitely these guys just know, hey, they're in the back of the pack. They're going to have to wait, and there Evandro Dantas deciding he's going to go off and mow the lawn a bit before he goes into heat number 2. But nonetheless, still a huge congratulations for Dudu Barrichello.
And what a race he laid down, coming from the back, overtaking everyone, and most importantly, keeping his nose clean and not getting pushed onto the grass or getting himself onto the grass or anything like that. He took his chances and said, thank you very much, and I'll have that race win.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely going to be one of those things out here that we've seen from some of the drivers is, again, I mean, other than just being fast from Barrichello, we got to see just the patience and waiting for those opportunistic moments, not trying to force anything where there's not really anything there. So again, that's just really plain and smart. You have to be the right amount of aggressive if you want to be able to finish in first place out here, and that's exactly what we got to see. Our BenQ session winner out here, of course, Dudu Barrichello, also setting the fastest lap, coming away with the win. In second place, we got Jackson SNJ. Third place, Martin Chico. In fourth, Gaston Kulabi. Fifth place, Ralph Benitez. Sixth, Andres Bertoni. Seventh, Santiago Barrios. Eighth, Evandro Dantas. Ninth, Igor Fogetche. And coming in 10th place, we got Felipe Barrichello rounding it out. So again, those two guys up front. Again, it's just always sad, always unfortunate when you have to see just these guys getting into incidents later on in the race, or even, I mean, early on, like we got to see from Felipe, just absolutely going into the wall. That was pretty much his race done. So both of those drivers towards the front, the Brazilians are looking to make their comeback, as well as Dudu Barrichello, seeing if he's going to make it another Triple Crown out here at iRacing, getting the hat trick. I know we've seen it before of Barrichello just absolutely dominating from qualifying all the way through the races. So we'll have to see if that's going to be a repeat of history, or will the newcomer of Igor Fogetche come out here and take home his very first AMX win out here this season.
It's anyone's call, but if I'd have to put my money on someone, it's got to be Dudu Barrichello. I mean, he's shown and proven so many times that he can go from P10, P15, P17 to P1. It seems like he's really liking this current track combat. I mean, we saw that once he's grown to the lead, 7-second gap by the time he finished the race. So I think he'll get, I do think Fogetche will get a great start. He is going up against Felipe Bartz, who is no slouch at all, though, into turn 1. So it's going to be whoever gets the best run of this rolling start.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it time and time again from Dudu Barrichello being able to go from last to first out there on the grid. So, like I said, no doubt that he has the talent, but once again, I really hope that we get to see a battle between him and Igor. Of course, Igor was only 2 thousandths off of the fastest lap out there in the last heat. So, like we said, Igor Fogetche definitely getting faster and faster, feeling a lot more comfortable than where we may have seen him in qualifying. So, it should be very interesting, as well as coming up next weekend. I really hope we can see this continue all day long. I mean, it's already heat number 2 out here. The AMX ZERO races seem to fly by so quick. But yeah, going out here next week, we got the Radical SR8 V8. So we're going to be out at Tsukuba on the 2000 full circuit. So that, I have a fond place in my heart for Tsukuba. That was where I got my very first iRacing win. So, I mean, I don't know. That might be one of those places. I'd love to be able to battle it out on here on track with these guys too. I mean, Julian, I know you've mentioned it yourself, but when are we going to see you out here for one of these AMX ZERO races?
Well, I'll have to wait till the Season 7 schedule and practice all throughout Season 7 for just that one race to where I might be able to stand a chance. I'm hoping that I can get resubscribed to iRacing, and then I'll be racing before you know it, Kevin. You'll get to put your commentary to the best of the best and myself. So I'm hoping to get racing in Season 7. If it doesn't work out, I'll just do another season in the comments box. It's just as good.
Absolutely. Like I said, yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see next weekend. You know, there's times I love being up here, being able to see some of the best racing out there in iRacing. But at the same time, I've learned a lot from watching these guys. I've learned a lot from trying to race against these guys at certain times. So, again, the finale coming up next weekend, as well as we got the finale tomorrow of our TCR. So our TCR World Tour going to be coming to an end tomorrow, where we got still Gael Valero looking very good in the championship. So we'll have to see exactly if he's going to make it 2 championships in a row. We had a bit of drama last weekend for AMX 15. Gael Valero coming in late to that one, missing qualifying, really making it a lot tighter of a race. But here we go, folks. Heat number 2, our drivers, the pace being set out here, and the green flag flies. Felipe Barrichello Bart's out there on pole position. Igor Fogic right behind him.
And he got a good run. He's managed to secure that P2. You can see they're on the outside line, trying almost three wide. They're going into turns 2 and 3 then. Don't do it, guys. Remember what happened in Heat 1 then. Through turn 3, they go so far. Everyone's pointing the right direction, but here's where it starts to get tricky there in this one-line section. Side-by-side in the lead there, you can see for a split second. Also side-by-side here in the back between. I think that is number... Oh, and we have a spinner there, and that is number 5. Spinning, coming out of turn 4 there. And some more going off into the grass then, and again then. So some shortcuts being taken and complete ignoration towards the racing line, but it seems like we've got a big gap from this whole group of cars to the leader.
Yeah, I mean, once you get out there, going into the snake, you really don't want to be side by side through there. So I think that's part of the issue that we got to see early on from some of those incidents, as well as we can see those guys coming around the south bend. That's that place too that it's very easy to go off into the dirt. I know I did that out here. We were in the GR86 Cup cars, got to race with these guys out for AMX ZERO, and I did the exact same thing, coming out around the south bend, trying to take it a little bit too quick on the first couple laps, just not having the grip going. Feeling, you know, there's plenty of grass out here at Virginia International Raceway to mow, so definitely one of those guys out here that I mow it from time to time. But right now, still, we're going to be looking towards the front of the pack. Ralph Benitez in front. Out in second place, actually, it is Igor Fogic going to be leading the pack. There's already quite a significant gap, already 3.3 seconds between Igor and the rest of the pack. So, again, we'll have to see if the newcomer, the underdog out here, is going to be taking home his very first AMX win. But like we can see, a bit of side-by-side battle going on in the middle of the pack as well. Fogic currently saying the fastest lap, but I know these guys are only going to get faster from here.
Oh, that's a spin there. Gaston Galavi there, just going out a bit too wide, letting his rear end just take a bit too much grip there and spinning right round. But like you said, Fogic taking the lead. I'm not sure if he overtook Felipe Bartz or if Felipe Bartz was spun on his own. He's currently down in P7. So here we go, lap 1 incident. And I think, yep, and that is what happened with Felipe Bartz. So it seems like Fogic, he just managed to get the lead then before all carnage ensued behind him, and that's allowed him to get a 3.3 second lead. And I reckon, Kevin, if he can make up and not do those mistakes he made in Heat 1, you know, going off into the grass or getting his wheel shaven off, then I reckon he's in a good shot, good shout to win this race. To the Barrichello, currently in P4, so his progress is not as fast as last time out, which I'm sure Fogic, he will be smiling from one ear to the other to see that, and he's continuing to build a gap between him and Benitez. Chico also a second back, but Barrichello is closing in on him.
Yeah, I think right now, but the closest, I think, as far as just pure lap times that we've got to see now at this point in the race, I think it's going to be between Fogic and Barrichello. Again, Barrichello, he still has a few more positions, going to have to make up a lot of time. There's only 11 laps out here, so 20 minutes, it's definitely a sprint race out here. But now Ralph Benitez, Martin Chico also battling it out. seeing these guys swapping back and forth on the timing screen. But back here we see Felipe Barrichello Bartz down there in the bottom left, just again trying to salvage what he can out here. It's just I mean, it's so hard, especially early on in the race. I think that's kind of a repeat of what we got to see in heat number 1. These guys out here still haven't really got quite up to temp with the tires, still going side by side, maybe where they shouldn't be, trying to really just be aggressive early on. These guys know they only have 20 minutes to make something happen out here, and we've seen a little bit different strategy from some of these guys. Looks like Yuta Barrichello being, you know, still aggressive, still very patient, as now, just like that, making the move to the inside over the number 99 of Martin Chico, and getting right in front, right when it counts. So Barrichello now in podium contention for 3rd place.
Wow, that move from Barrichello on Chico for me was pure racer instinct. He saw the gap and he knows he's quick around that section. And once again, just pure instinct, just going for, and he's gotten P2. He's made up 2 positions in the space of 3 or 4 corners, as now he's got a 5.4 second lead to catch up. Benitez and Chico still fighting. Chico is all up in the slipstream of Benitez. We're currently looking back at Chico. Can he make the move on this long spray? He's in the slipstream. Will he pull out towards the inside? Then I think he's just a tad too far back, unless he can send it. He's still closing in. Now he's alongside him. Up the crest they go. Then they are going to be side by side then, as now they punch down the hill, but Benitez has got that place on lockdown.
Yeah, and as they come down through turn number 14, that's one of those places that we've seen so many times, people trying to overtake that you can get it done, but it's absolutely risky. So these guys, again, trying to ride the line of, okay, I want to win, but at the same time, I still want to make sure I don't crash out of here. So we've already seen a few of these guys going off track now, seeming like they have learned from the mistakes of the past. And here we see the number 99 now trying to just peek to the inside. Will he have enough grip? A little bit of door banging side by side. The number 99, Martin Chico. The number 6 of Benitez still holding on to as we go into the left-handers now. Going around turn 4 and 5. Still right in front. Ralph Benitez doing a great job trying to defend. Oh, and now the sand from the inside. The number 99 just absolutely sending it into the side of Ralph Benitez. So the number 99 of Chico now up into 3rd place. I know Ralph Benitez is not going to be too happy about that one, as that one looked a little bit hard, a little bit rough. Again, like we said, we are used to with the TCRs, but these guys sending the same moves out here, just, hey, knowing, all right, it's still early on in the race, but I want to get ahead as soon as I can.
Oh, that was very aggressive from Chico, but he had to make the move because he had Jackson Rosende coming up behind him, and now Jackson Rosende is behind Benitez, so Benitez getting a bit forced out and pushed out there, as now he needs to deal with a driver behind instead of where he'd rather be is re-attacking Chico for that lead. Barrichello is closing on Fugecha ever so slightly. The gap is now under 5 seconds. Is there enough time though? He's got, what's that, 7 laps to go, just over 6 laps then, or 6 laps after this lap. Can he do it? It's going to be damn close, because even if he's closing in by a certain amount of time, we'll have to get past Fugecha, which we saw in Heat 1. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's only lap number 4 out here, and now we're going to be going to lap 5. So, I mean, just still so much going on, and it's crazy to see the amount of action going on. Like I said, I mean, Julian, you keep saying it over and over of, like, AMX ZERO has probably turned into one of the most entertaining series that we've had in AMX, especially this season. I mean, we had AMX ZERO last season. It was a little bit more tame. There was some stuff here and there, but I mean, with just the amount of heavy hitters we have out here, and as soon as they say heavy hitters, just still almost a side-by-side once again between Chico and Benitez. So these two guys still battling it out like it, I mean, almost like their life depends on it. Like I said, out here, the number 6 doing a great job holding on to the front, Martin Chico. So we'll have to see, as I assume these guys, they're going to keep going back and forth, but lurking in the background, we got Jackson Ascension in 5th place, looking to make it a move, go from 5th to 3rd. So Jackson just really has to be patient if he is going to want to get up onto the podium, not try to fight it too much, let those guys in front of him battle it out and make a mistake.
Yeah, if he can follow through in turn 2, just like we saw in Heat 1, we saw Judo Barrichello do that, and Gaston Colabi, if he can do just that, I think that's what he's hoping for right now, is that he can just sneak through an open window once these two have gone side by side and have compromised each other to where he can get a good run. Saying that though, the gap's now 2 seconds, so he must have made a mistake somewhere, maybe run onto the cross or a massive snap of oversteer. So all of that what I've said, you can just throw out the window and forget about it, because it does not matter anymore. Probably once he catches up, because these guys are fighting super hard that they're going to lose so much time. You can see Chico, he's looking left, he's looking right, he's looking for any sort of opening where he can place his car, but Benitez is just covering off every single angle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, this action is going to continue going on into AMX 5. I know there's going to be a lot of the same guys out here, as well as hopefully we get to see our current championship leader for AMX 5, Gael Valero, going on in that. So Gael Valero has a pretty good lead up in the AMX 5 championship, but there is still room for that to be taken away by Pedro Dean. Things are going to be really close coming into the final week. So make sure to not go anywhere after this race. We've got AMX 5 coming up. And now, still on track though, the action is heating up out here in heat number 2. We are about halfway through this thing out here now. Lap number 6 of 11. Pogačar just hasn't felt the pressure since lap 1, once he was able to escape that incident, get up front, get an early lead, and so far he's just been sending fast lap after fast lap. Like we mentioned, due to Barrichello pretty much going to be the only person that could take it away from him, but there's still a 3.2 second gap between first and second place. So we'll have to see, as right now, due to Barrichello does hold the fastest lap, so it's only about 0.2 faster than Igor Pogačar. So we'll have to see. I don't think 0.2 right now at this point of the race is going to be enough to make up 3 seconds though.
Absolutely. I think he's gunning for that. Pogačar makes a mistake. And I think this is the first time that I've said Barrichello can get the Triple Crown, and it's not looking great for him. All the other times I've said, no, I think in Heat 2 he's going to face some sort of obstacle, but then he hasn't, and now that he does have one, I've said that he will get it. So a bit of reverse psychology or a bit of commentators curse, but you can tell by how he's attacking the curbs. And it's so great, and it was so important for him that he made those moves on Benitez and Chico in quick succession. He could not afford to sit behind them while those two were fighting for another lap or so, because then the gap would have been even bigger. So I think what he's done so far has been bang on, but can he just close in a bit more? It's not looking like he is, Kevin. It seems like it's staying at 3 seconds, and this is great news for Pogačar. But Barrichello, he's starting to get, or I assume he's starting to get a bit frustrated in his head. You can see he's looking calm, cool and collected, but he wants this win. He wants another hat trick or another Triple Crown.
Yeah, we know that he has the pace in him, especially what we see from qualifying. Whenever it is time to go out there, the pressure is coming down on him. I mean, I think really this is where a lot of real-life drivers tend to shine. Really, when they start feeling that extra pressure, it's like something switches in their mind, and they just absolutely go to another level. So like I said, we know Duda Barrichello right now is a little bit faster than Pogačar, but we'll have to see how much faster, and with only just a few laps left in this thing, is it going to be enough time? Still 2.8 seconds between first and second place. Right there we get to see, again, still absolute focus from Pogačar. So the young driver coming out here, making his name known out here for AMX. Like we said, folks, AMX, we've seen so many drivers come in here. I know I'm always reminded of Gustavo Ariel coming out here with Tony Kanaan when it was still the Texaco Esports, with his fellow teammates that we still see to this day now with Delinde, but getting recruited after that, battling it out with some of the Team Redline guys, then getting recruited by them. So a lot of stories happening out here now. We got the interview last week, and Dino Filippa, another guy out here that we've got to see time and time again from the Sart Racing team. So just so many stories, so much of the great community that we've seen, people out here in AMX going on, whether it's special events in iRacing, whether it's racing in real life, these guys are doing it all. So I think, again, Pogačar is going to be one of those names that you folks better pay attention to, you better listen up, say, hey, this kid has an absolute bright future ahead of him.
Speaking of recruiting, someone recruit that man. I mean, could you imagine how good he would be in a team then after he's improved his just overall racecraft and just his pacing? We've seen so many times that it takes every driver a bit of time to go from qualifying to race, completely different stories. I mean, you're going from pushing from one lap to trying to keep the tires alive. It is a fairly short race, but we have seen that drivers do tend to make mistakes come lap 10, lap 11, and there you saw almost going off into the gravel there. I think that was Barrios. It was Barrios, and he's just lost a bit of time. But it seems like Kulhavi, Dantes, Bertoni, and Barrios all together here fighting for P7 then, and it is very close between these guys. So we might not have a battle for the lead like last heat, but we do have a battle on our hands between these 4 cars.
Absolutely. So we'll have to see again. You know, things have spread out pretty far, except in the back of the field. So these guys having a bit of issues early on. Now we've seen some of them dropping quite a few positions. Again, that's just how it goes out here. Hard racing, sprint racing, you leave everything out on the line, lay it out all on the track, and that is what happens. Again, that's why we have the KARA out here, to be able to help officiate some of these races. If there's people saying, all right, these guys are not doing something, they can absolutely send in a protest. And a lot of times, like we've seen, there have been those times that people have sent in a protest, say this guy is just absolutely just shunting people out here, sending it too hard. So again, great to have officials out here officiating the race. I know I would not want to be having to officiate these races, as we've seen a few times, a bit of controversial wins a couple times throughout the seasons, as well as just a few issues here back and forth. These guys carrying it on from race to race, but nonetheless, it's still close battles all throughout the grid. Right now, folks, we are in lap number 9 out of 11 in heat number 2. The running order is Bogetcha in first, Barrichello in second, and Benitez in third.
And that gap between P1 and P2 is coming down. It's now 1.7. Seems like Barrichello is getting most of his time in sector 1, if I'm not mistaken. But then Bogetcha, he kind of makes up for it in sector at the end of the lap there. There you see it, yeah, sector 1, almost 2 tenths gain there pretty much, and two and a half tenths in sector 3. So Barrichello now really starting to put his foot down, and he's really starting to close in. So maybe he was just waiting and playing the patient game, playing the long game, waiting for a last minute attempt to steal the win from Bogetcha. That's going to be very interesting if he can get it, or did he leave it a bit too late? And he will have just over 2 laps to go. At the end of this lap, it will be 2 laps. So number 91 car chasing down the number 1 car, which is in P1. Can Bogetcha get the win, or can Barrichello get his hat trick? Then, well, stay tuned, folks. Gap is 1.2 seconds. He really needs to close in by 6 or so tenths this lap, which I think he can do, just to make sure he's in striking distance.
And coming out here, I mean, I'm just looking at the timing screen as well, so it looks like Barrichello is definitely having somewhat of a perfect drive out here in heat number 2. Still is yet to get an off track, whereas all the drivers, every other driver in the field has had multiple off tracks out here. So Barrichello absolutely just putting on a perfect show now, closing that gap down to 1 second between first and second. So yeah, I mean, Julian, your prediction still may be right of Barrichello coming out here. I mean, we've already got to see him still setting the fastest lap. So right now, the fastest lap, still about 2 tenths of a second faster than Igor up front in first place. But we'll have to see what Bogetcha can do, because I think right now, Bogetcha knows that, all right, I have a little bit of a gap, trying to hold him at arm's length, about a second off, still keep him out of that draft. Because once I think Barrichello gets in that draft, we're definitely going to have to see how well can Bogetcha defend.
Absolutely, and last lap he was a full second slower than Barrichello. This time he's re-engaged. He must have made some sort of mistake then, because now he certainly picked up the pace in sector 1. He even pulled away a bit in sector 2, Barrichello catching up, but nowhere near as big of a gap he closed in. Then last lap he's got a bit more than 1 lap to go, a bit more than 5 kilometers. He's got around 7 or so, I would guess then, but it's so close. Honestly, I'm feeling a bit bittersweet. Do I want my prediction to come true? Yes. Do I want Bogetcha to win the race? Also yes. So I'm not really sure who I want to win. Of course, as commentator, I should remain as neutral as possible, but when you have someone like Barrichello so consistent, so great, you just can't see winning. But look, he's really close up now, half a second now, and he's pretty much got 3 tries on the last lap. You've got the first braking zone, after the S's and after that mini straight, and then going into turn 14, that's got to be his last chance then, and he's really closing up now. Bogetcha, he just cannot feel the pressure, and he is feeling the pressure as anyone would do. You're about to win your first race in AMX then, and you just can't, you know, you're shaking your feet, your throttle pedal or your throttle foot, you just cannot allow that to move a bit too much. And there's also a battle for P4 there, Benitez and Chico, Chico and Senda, that is, fighting away there. Chico has got the better of it, going into the cross lane on number 7, Resende. Here we go then, can Barrichello make the move? This is his second chance to make the move. Seems like he's just about a car's length too far back then to make the move, but he's now bumper to bumper. It's anyone's game, Kevin.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see. I think it's going to come down to coming out of that long straight. Out here, once you get into turn number 2, out there at Oak Tree, you really have to have the perfect exit. And just like that, we see the different lines that the two drivers are taking now. Barrichello still trying to hold on to the draft. Will it be enough? It's going to probably be now or never, going up into turn number 14. Once these guys hit the top of the hill, that's probably going to be the best place to get the move done. So with these guys a lot on the line, we'll have to see if this is going to be a David versus Goliath story on our hands. Out here in heat number 2, Fogetcha, the newcomer, the underdog, coming out here, putting it down. Barrichello having to battle his way out through the pack to get the Triple Crown out here. So again, the two guys that we've seen, it is still a Brazilian 1, 2, 3 from what we have on the board. But now, coming around the final last couple of corners, it's still Fogetcha. It is now or never, trying to break the draft. This man, again, it's going to be a close one, trying to drag race, but it is going to be Fogetcha holding on to out here. Julian, an absolute David and Goliath story out here. The youngster, the newcomer to AMX, putting it down, getting his first win of the day, of the season of AMX, against one of the best drivers that we have seen. Dudu Barrichello out here coming home in second place. Ralph Benitez coming across in third. But again, this is the story, I think, of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, who saw Barrichello being so consistent, being able to make his way from the back of the grid to the lead so much? But the defining factor there was Felipe Bart spinning and giving Fogetcha just that opening 3 seconds with what he could have worked with just qualifying lap after qualifying lap. That is where he shines.
And there we can see, just again, an absolute great show of racecraft out here from these drivers. Your BenQ session winner, Igor Fogetcha, putting it down out here. Dudu Barrichello coming in second place, and Ralph Benitez in third place. We got the Brazilian 1, 2, 3. Coming in fourth, we got Martin Chico. Fifth place goes to Jackson SNJ. Sixth, Felipe Bartz. Seventh, Gaston Culavi. Eighth, Evandro Dantas. Ninth, Andres Bertoni. And rounding out in 10th, Santiago Barrios. Dudu Barrichello setting the fastest lap once again out here. But again, man, just an absolute drama. I mean, I was hoping that we would get to see a back and forth battle going on between the top two of those Brazilian drivers. Again, just the youngster able to eke out the win, and you got to know that he's feeling good about it out here. Especially, seems like we've had a lot of people joining, a lot of people knowing who Dudu Barrichello is. This kid can now go and tell his family out there watching this race, say, hey, I came out here and I beat a real life driver, so young, someone that has been so dominant. I beat a Brazilian stock car driver. You know that has to feel so good for him, Julian.
Absolutely. I mean, that could be anyone's or every kid's dream to just go out their first race. You know, qualifying great. Heat 1, he made a couple mistakes. He learned from it. Heat 2, great drive. He never, I think he made one small mistake and that was it. But apart from that, he's kept his cool. He was able to win, and thanks to his great start there to get the lead on lap 1, he just was able to avoid all the chaos behind him while Dudu Barrichello was stuck in that traffic, fighting through fighting through Chico and Benitez. He was stuck there while Fogetcha could just make his way through the race and just praying that that checkered flag comes as quickly as humanly possible.
So it's been a great day. All day long. I mean, way to kick off the penultimate round of AMX ZERO. I mean, I really hope we get to see these two guys out here battling it out again next week. And like I mentioned, we're going to be out next weekend for AMX ZERO, Tsukuba in the Radical V8. So it's going to be a great one, the SR8 out there. But still, everyone make sure not to go anywhere, because now, coming up very soon, we are going to be heading it over to AMX 10 or sorry, AMX 10 is tomorrow. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to be heading over to AMX 5 here in a few minutes. So, like I said, make sure to subscribe, follow our channel, as well as check the social medias. Head over to the website in between the break. But we will be seeing you all in a few minutes for AMX 5. See you soon. Max Verstappen back into first place. They want to make that move, but here goes Gustavo Ariel diving to the inside. Gael Valero looking for the move over Archie Neumann. He has it.
And you can just see Beto Silva pushing Florian Labigra right over.
Oh, Chris Lawson, he does make that pass.
Gael Valero doing his best on the outside, gets sideways, and no, the teammates crash. We had the number 11 going right there. 3 wide out there in the middle of the field, through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shots of the entire season.
Towards the Niki Lauda curve, bumping and banging and into the wall. That is a horrible crash.
2 wide now, door to door. Max Verstappen to Vanderdantes. Max Verstappen able to safely rejoin, slots it right in front of another car.
the carousel immediately. He gets punted off. That was Saavedra. Aguilar, he's gone off. He's been tapped and he's into the barriers. Oh, the rejoin. Oh,
and
no.
Dean. Oh, Pedro, Dean.
Oh, Chris Lawlem does have the inside track for the Swiss left. If he's able to make that pass happen, he might be able to cut away Victorino. He does make that pass, and he makes it clean as they come into the right hand. And this is it. Chris Lawlem seizes the opportunity and makes it. And just as the end, the rain comes to put a pin onto the end of the race, and Chris Lawlem takes it.
Miranda Pedro Zuba into the wall.
It's actually Valero. Valero's actually gone off into the barriers coming up to the cutting.
David Todd making his way back up is already climbed 7 positions.
Oh, I spoke too soon there. Sandy goes off.
So right now, this is going to be where it's going to get shaken up. David Todd passes them while they are in the pit through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
So we have 3-way battle going to the most dangerous turn of the mountain. Up the mountain, we have contact right there. These guys going absolutely crazy. It's going to come down to the final corner, Murray's corner. Who is going to have to lead? We may have a drag race to the finish line on our hands, folks. You see David Todd right now going into the pit lane. Hello and welcome back everybody to the AMX Sim Racing World Championship, where now we're making our stop as part of the Porsche North American Carrera Cup. out here at Sebring International Raceway. We had an excellent day already for AMX ZERO, but now it's going to turn up even more with AMX 5. I am Kevin, and alongside me in the booth today is Julian. Julian, I mean, such a crazy race already out there. Definitely the David and Goliath story going on early on. The Brazilians putting it down out there in AMX ZERO. Now, heading it over to Florida for AMX 5. What do you hope we get to see out here for this second race today?
Copy paste. I'd love to see more of that. I mean, we had battles, we had the faster driver trying to catch up. In the end, didn't work out. I mean, all we need now is a bit more strategy, which we're gonna get in Heat 1 with pit stop. So very excited for that in AMX 5 around Sebring.
Absolutely. Again, you know, close battles all season long, especially it seemed like something has been in the water since we came back from our mid-season break. But nonetheless, we still got a championship fight on our hands between Gael Valero and Pedro Dean that we have to settle. We have this weekend and next to crown a champion. Again, we'll have to see if Gael Valero is going to be able to get it done today or if he's going to have Pedro Dean come in with the upset. But for everyone out there, make sure to follow along on all of our social medias, as well as subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. We are out here every single weekend this season. But before we get into today's qualifying and check up in on our drivers, we have a few things to go over as always. So I mean, we've been out here for a few weeks. We are going to be closing it out. Our grand finale coming up, so definitely stay tuned for that. We've been here since September 7th, going all the way until November 17th. So like I said, almost done with this season, and it is a tight championship race out there. We have over $11,000 prize pool plus next level racing gear going to our champs, with our race format going as follows for AMX 5. We got that 20-minute qualifier followed by that top 15 reverse grid going into heat number 1 of 35 minutes, followed by a second top 15 reverse grid into that final heat number 2 of 25 minutes. So heat number 1 is a little bit longer. We have a little bit more points on the line for that as well. But all of our drivers that are participating must have their driver cams on. So we love to see your beautiful mugs out there. You can get the links via our AMX Discord or over on the website. Payouts are done in balances over $100, paid out every single month. So once you hit that $100 to your account, expect that money headed your way. We are here every single Saturday and Sunday this season. And like I mentioned, you can get signed up to race anytime over at amxrace.com. We still got next week in AMX ZERO, a great place to start there. Speaking of AMX ZERO, that's what kicks it off on our Saturdays. So our schedule goes as following, with kicking it off on Saturdays, AMX ZERO 5:50 p.m. GMT, followed by AMX 5 right after at 7:10 p.m. And on Sundays, we got our TCR, where tomorrow we're looking to crown a champion once again. The TCR World Tour coming to a close, 5:50 p.m. the first race of the day, with that second race followed right after at 7:20 p.m. And on the opposite weekends on Sundays, we got our AMX 15 mini endurance races, where once again, that is probably one of the tightest championships we've ever had. So make sure to tune in next weekend as well. AMX 15, 5:50 p.m. For our AMX 5 races, this is how it looks like for our prizes. It's going to be the same in qualifying as well as heat number 2. So yes, qualifying does get prize money out there. $12.50 going to first place, $10 to second place, and $7.50 to third. Going all the way down, points down into 15th place. For heat number 1, the points are doubled, a little bit harder, a little bit more on the line. $25 going to first place, $20 going to second, $15 going to third, all the way down again into 15th place. And once we kick it back into heat number 2, those change once again down to $12.50 for first, $10 for second, $7.50 for third, down to 15th place. With heat number 1 and heat number 2, the fastest laps getting set gets an extra couple of dollars headed their way, with a total prize pool per race of $250. If you want to win some of this prize money, AMX 5 does have a minimum I rating of 2,000. So you have 2,000. We'd love to see you out there. Again, we have a lot of great stuff coming for season 7, to make sure to stay tuned for that as well. But I think, Julian, again, Porsche Cup cars, it's every single time we've seen these cars out here in AMX, it has been an absolute banger of a race.
Absolutely, and I doubt it'll be any different then We head south from Virginia Raceway, roughly 750 miles or so, to the slap bang middle of Florida, to Sebring International Circuit. It was first opened in 1950, and with a track length of roughly 6 kilometers or 3.74 miles. For my fellow Americans there, don't worry, Kevin, I'm watching out for you. 17 corners, then 11 to the right and 6 to the left. And it hosts major events such as the 12 Hours of Sebring, and being part of IMSA and the FIA World Endurance Championship. And this is the absolute beauty that our drivers will be taking around, this absolute beauty of a track, the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup 992. It is powered by a 4-liter flat 6 engine, delivering 510 horsepower to the rear wheel drive. With a weight of just over 1,250 kilograms and a sequential gearbox, this car competes in racing series like the Porsche Carrera Cup, the Porsche Super Cup, and including the famous 24 Hours of Nordschleife.
Yeah, definitely one of the most popular cars out in the entire service of iRacing. So we'll have to see, as now we're going to head it over to qualifying to check in, see where our drivers, again, it's been a tight battle. Just a back and forth. We've seen Gael Valero looking to just edge his way all the way up to a podium, all the way to another championship. And looking like, seen on the screen, he is definitely out here today. So we got Pedro Dean, Gael Valero, going to be some of the couple of guys that really the two to look out for. We've got to see some great battles between them all season long out here for the AMX 5 Championship. But right now, going to check in with the number 93 of Jackson Asenge. We got to see Jackson earlier on today out there at Virginia International Raceway, racing the Cadillac CTS-V cars. Put on a great show, but again, it was the newcomer, the newbie, the youngster, absolutely coming out here, the underdog, upsetting a lot of these veterans. Julian, again, I'm still just astounded. I think that's going to be one of those things talked about, as well as I would not doubt that if that makes it on the highlight reel.
I'll be surprised if it's not. We'll be going into season 7 of AMX ZERO, and we'll be talking about that one race around Virginia International Raceway in the Cadillac, and about the youngster Fuguchu getting the race win, defying all odds. But now we focus on AMX 5, and currently it's a not so youngster. Juan Leonat then leads the way by 2/10 or so out of Tobias Soriano, as we're just under halfway through qualifying.
And looking at the championship standing, so coming out of today, next week, and we do have the AMX 5 finale. So this is the penultimate round of our AMX 5 championship. Next weekend is really where we're going to be looking to crown our champion. And currently, Gael Valero looking very good to take home yet another championship. So he's taken home a championship the past couple of seasons as well. He's looking to make it his 3rd in a row, as well as trying to get the championship for AMX 5, AMX 10, and AMX 15. We'll have to see if he's able to get the sweep this season. But right now, he has a few contenders, Wombley not being one of those guys now, still having the fastest lap coming around the final corner. We'll have to see if he's able to improve on his time. So far, 2:04.141, and now just see how close those drivers get to that outside wall coming down the home stretch. And as he comes across the start finish line, will he be able to improve his lap time? He does, a 2:04.075. So looking very strong out there for Juan Blanat.
Yeah, I remember 2 or maybe even 3 weeks ago, the last time I commentated AMX 5 around Long Beach, Juan Blanat looking very strong in qualifying. I think it was on pole by 4/10 or so, which in this AMX 5 field, not the easiest thing to do. You got this many, Gael Valero, you got Tobias Soriano, you got Pedro Dean. Pretty much everyone here knows their way around a GT3 car, but what was crucial there is that he just couldn't make his way through the pack, at least in one piece. And that's another thing here. Reverse grid, just like in AMX ZERO there, but it's a bit easier to overtake here. It's a lot more of a traditional racetrack, I would call it, than Virginia Raceway. It's not as cramped, so you can go 3 wide, not recommended. Still though, keep it to 2 wide, guys, please. It'll be interesting to see if he can make his way through the grid, because right now his qualifying pace is looking absolutely amazing.
And I think this is one of those few times that the drivers, I mean, you always want to do really well in qualifying because there are points on the line, but I think one of the bigger things is these guys are not going to be too upset about having to be on that reverse grid starting from the back of the pack, because out here at Sebring, especially going into turn number 1, we've seen time and time again how dangerous it can be out of Sebring. Like you mentioned, too wide is just sketchy enough on its own, but there's plenty of times that a lot of guys try to make it 3 wide going into turn number 1, only to just be shunted off out of the racing line, off into the wall. So hopefully we don't see that here, but I mean, I would not be surprised if it does happen. Just no matter the series, no matter the cars, that is one of those things that Sebring, these guys have to have a lot of discipline. As we come back now, Toby Soriano coming out here, Lightning McQueen livery. We had the joke last time around when we were out for AMX 15. I think it was Marcus Saavedra that had the other Lightning McQueen livery for that race. It looks okay out here on the Porsche Carrera Cup car. It looks very uncanny out there on an LMP2 car. So still coming out here, the Rusty's the number 95 on the side, even though I believe Toby Soriano is the number 1 car out there on the timing tower. So I'll try not to get that mixed up out here. I'll try to pay attention to what's on the windscreen instead of the Lightning McQueen number on the side of the door. But Toby Soriano, another one of these guys that has just absolutely been putting it down this season. So we'll have to see. Again, is the Frenchman going to be able to get ahead in points? Right now, it is still pretty much between him and Pedro Dean all season long. Again, Gael Valero, just like he has the last couple of seasons, pretty much been hanging out atop the points, the overall points leader as well. So we'll have to see. Pedro Dean currently sitting in 6th place. Jackson Asenji, another one of those in this season as well as past seasons, been trying to just do what he can to hold on to that championship. The number 93 out here, currently 7th place, 206.043, so still about about a second and a half, a second and 1.3 seconds behind the next person in line. So not having the best of laps so far, but again, definitely it's always hard whenever you come out from a completely different car that they were in earlier, the Cadillac CTS-V, to come out here in the Porsche Carrera Cup car. But we know one thing from Jackson is he's definitely not one to turn down a challenge.
It's such a tricky transition from these 2 cars. I mean, Porsche 911 GT3 is the traditional GT3. The Cadillac's more like a untamed beast which wants to have a mind of its own. You really need to control it. But Jackson Resende, I mean, he does it pretty much every time, and he handles that transition very well. I mean, as well as you can. Right now he's in P7, so that'll be P3 once the reverse grid gets applied. Then, as of course, we got less than 15 drivers, so everyone will get swung around. So this man right here, currently in provisional pole, will get sent right to the back to P9. Then we'll have to see if he can make his way through the grid. Of course, in Heat 1, we have a pit stop, so there is some strategy involved in this. Kevin, when do you think the pit stops will be used? We talk about this all the time.
I mean, I think it's one of those of, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we've seen a lot from Gael Valero, kind of just waiting either until he's under a lot of pressure, or if he doesn't have that much pressure behind him, just trying to say, all right, I mean, a lot of it really for him depends on where are you on the grid, where are you when you start. If he's going to be starting towards the back, I wouldn't doubt it if we see another early pit stop for him. If he's battling it out, he's absolutely comfortable up front, doesn't really have much pressure, then he's probably going to be staying out very late. So I think that's really going to be a lot of our drivers. If you are in the lead, just keep it out there, have no pressure, try to just get away from the pack. But if you're in the middle of traffic, or if you're going to know that you have to battle your way through traffic, try to take the early pit stop, get some clean air, and just start saying fast lap after fast lap. So again, really going to be dependent upon where these guys end up on the grid, or where their strategy is going to fall.
Yeah, and with 9 drivers, I mean, there's still a chance of you coming out in. Oh, and that's a very nice drift there for Diego Villarreal, and another slap of oversteer. I've never seen drifting in a Porsche 911 before, but he somehow made it work. Of course, rear-wheel drive, so respect to him. So where was it? Right, you can't, I mean, with 9 drivers, it's very hard to come out in a whole gaggle of cars with like 5 or 6 cars, as most of the time in the opening lap. Unfortunately, there's one spinner, which kind of splits the whole group in two. But you can still come out in, I don't know, let's say Martin Chica and Benitez have another scrap like they had in AMX ZERO. You can get stuck behind those two after a pit stop, and then you're stuck there. You can't do anything. You gotta wait for one of them to pit, which can either be lap penultimate lap, or it can be the next lap. You don't know. So it's very much a risk pitting early, which is why Valero likes to keep it late.
And it's great to see him back out on the track. Of course, VIR not able to make it today for the AMX ZERO race. He wanted to come out here, focus on AMX 5. And right now, like I said, just really trying to find the balance of this car, really just trying to see, all right, again, it's really hard to push this car in a big setup compared to when you have an open setup, especially on a place that is so bumpy like Sebring. It's one of these places that, again, we see so many of these guys, especially during the 12 hours of Sebring. Well, I mean, really any endurance race for that fact. Setup has such a huge difference. Do you want to go for the tire saving? Do you want to go for the fuel saving? Do you want to go for that? I mean, out here, it is a bit more of a sprint format, as we can see there. Gal Valero just trying to get a little bit of traffic, trying to open it up really wide, and now going in for another fastest lap. Gal Valero currently sitting in third out here qualifying. Has about 3 minutes to set down another good lap, so this is probably going to be his last flying lap out here. We hold it on to Gael Valero now on his fastest, probably final lap. Julian, let's see as he goes around turn number 1. Again, this is one of those tricky corners. You have to get it absolutely perfect. Coming up on traffic right there, one of the green cars pulling aside, saying, all right, I'm pretty much done, as we see a couple people now, Vanderdatas coming into the pit. But yeah, just 3 minutes left to go. These guys are setting just over 2-minute laps. A very long course out here at Sebring. Has a lot of flowing turns, a lot of straights, so we'll have to see. The draft going to be very important. Is now Toby Soriano, currently second place. It's absolutely unreal to see right now that Juan Pelena is nearly half a second over Soriano and Valero.
Yeah, you don't see that every day, but Valero, he's also only 3,000 behind Tobias Soriano, but Tobias Soriano is also on a lap now, and looking at the timing splits, not looking half bad for him. He's got a couple of green sectors and a purple sector, so he is certainly improving. Can he improve? Can he even have a slight sniff at provisional pole position? I doubt it, but right now I think he's trying to just get P2 on a lockdown. Then it's a 2-4-1, and he pretty much halves the gap to Juan Pelena, and has now a 2/10 gap to Valero. Can Valero catch up to that? We're on board with him right now. Then you could just see how much you can attack these turns right here. Not a whole lot of elevation change around this track. In fact, it's very much as flat as a pancake can get. So here we go then. Valero, can he get onto the front row, or onto the front row on merit? It's going to be onto the last row once the reverse grid kicks in.
I'm seeing, so yeah, a lot of these guys out here. Still great to see. Again, I think this season, Gael Valero really stepping back, saying, I'm not going to focus that much on AMX ZERO. I mean, it's okay, but I really want to focus on some of these ones with higher prizes, really go for those big championships, get even more next level racing gear. I know last week, I mean, just really every single time that we talk about it too, this man setting up his own sim shop with the amount of gear that he's running. But right now, still coming across a 204.258. So still doing a little bit better, but unfortunately not able to get onto the top spot. But here we come. Only 40 seconds left in qualifying. Jackson Asenge now just trying to still find out, as he's still over 2 seconds off of that top spot. Like we said, these guys setting crazy times up in the top 3, all within a half a second of each other. All these guys running down into P6, it's still less than a second off of each other. So again, like I mentioned, this is one of the super bumpy tracks. It's a difficult car and track combination. Like I mentioned, when you do not have that setup to be able to just tweak your suspension, tweak everything else. Again, final seconds out here in qualifying. Juan Pelena looking very good for him, as Jackson Asenge coming across the line, able to improve his time, but not able to improve his spot. So Julian, with that, I mean, another qualifying coming to an end, the penultimate round of AMX 5 out here, and things are looking very, very good for Juan Blanot, our BenQ session winner in qualifying, setting a 2-minute 3.896 out here. Absolutely just blazing around this track. Coming in second, we got Toby Soriano. Third place, Gael Valero. Fourth, Pedro Dean. Fifth, Ralph Benitez. Sixth, Martin Chico. Seventh, Jackson Sanjay. Eighth place, Evandro Dantas. And rounding out in ninth place, we got Diego Villarreal. So Diego Villarreal now going to be taking advantage of that reverse grid, be leading from pole out here. Again, pretty warm out there. Nothing too crazy, but it's still about 28 degrees. The track temps right now, 35 degrees. Partly cloudy, so we'll have to see if those clouds roll in just a little bit more, maybe cool off the track, or if it's going to get warmer. Again, out here, heat number one is usually where we start to see if there's going to be any tire degradation. Again, 35 minutes out here to make something happen. One mandatory pit stop.
And that pit stop could be race defining if you just put one lap too early to get stuck in traffic, or you put one lap later to come out ahead of that traffic with just one lap to go. Such a crucial point in the race. That's why we see Gael Valero going long, or I remember last time out, Pedro Dean pitting on the very first lap, and it worked quite well for him as well. So it's anyone's game then. It's really hard to lay down a prediction for AMX 5 race with a pit stop.
Yeah, definitely. Especially it's one of those that out here again, it is quite a bit of a longer track. These guys are going to be starting from a standing start. So again, the start is a big part of it. The pit stop is a big part of it. But nonetheless, we'll have to see as these guys going out, who is going to be out here. Is anyone going to be spinning it off out in turn number one again? Turn number one, very dangerous out is Sebring. And like that, the green flag is flying, and a great start there. The Delete the Esports driver looks like Jackson Sanjay, Evandro Dantas in the mix of things as well. These guys trying to get a really wide entrance up in front, but going into turn number one, it will be Jackson Sanjay leading the pack. Again, these guys going 2 wide, 3 wide right there in the midfield. A little bit of contact in the back, but now still looking very great. Martin Chico, the start driver, making his way up over Evandro Dantas, trying to take advantage of this early race start. These guys are still on cold tires though, so they will have to still keep it very, very careful, especially with the difference in surface changes out here. Sebring, one of these more dangerous tracks, if you're not careful, can come back and bite you. But right now, looking great. Jackson Sanjay, Martin Chico, Evandro Dantas, a few guys in the back of the pack trying to take that inside line now as we go into this next right-hander. We have the number one, Toby Soriano, trying to battle his way up through the front of the pack. Diego Villarreal dropping, unfortunately, 8 positions back to the back of the pack. Now things are looking very good for our front runners, Julian.
Absolutely, Juan Blanot already looking to make up some moves on Evandro Dantas, but what a start by Jackson Resende up from P3 to P1 before he even got to turn 1. That was all based on just getting that rev range off the start on lights out, and he got P1. What a start. That's got to be one of the starts of the season so far, but he leads by 1.2 seconds out of Chico. Juan Blanot has also made his way up, but the pole sitter down all the way to P8. He's now fighting with Evandro Dantas in the background. You can see they're side by side, but Tobias Soriano putting pressure on Pedro Dean. Pedro Dean also needs to start making a move up if he wants to challenge Gael Valero for the top spot in the championship. Currently in P6, Valero is in P4 then, but he's starting to get put under some pressure from Juan Blanot behind him.
Yeah, and I mean, for Gael Valero, really at this point, it's looking like he pretty much just has to be finishing in front of Pedro Dean today if he wants to secure that championship. So, again, coming out of here, Gael Valero is going to have to be over 56 points in the lead at the end of the day to be able to close down this championship early. So, he doesn't really have that much pressure right now. He just has to go out there, kind of do what he does every single week, put down some clean laps, and be able to finish up there towards the front of the pack. I mean, again, he doesn't even technically have to finish in front of the pack as long as he is finishing in front of Pedro Dean. Things are going to continue to look very good for him. But here's another man, Juan Blanot, just absolutely blazing it out in qualifying. Now already up 5 positions. We're only in lap 2. He's already overtaken 5 cars. So just a great showmanship out here today. Checking on our front runners too of Martin Chico. Once he's able to get to the front of the pack, he's been able to hold down that P2 in front of Ralph Benitez. So the 2 Delete the Esports drivers, Jackson and Sanjay up in first. Now we have Ralph Benitez trying to make the move to the inside, but unfortunately just not enough room to make anything happen there, but he's going to hold on quick, hold on tight to that rear bumper of Martin Chico. Get in the draft, especially once we head onto the back straight, out there in Ullman Straight. That's really where these guys can take advantage of that going into Sunset Bend, but we'll have to see, as right now still about halfway through the track. And again, this is one of those, not really any elevation changes out here at Sebring. It was founded upon an old World War II air base, so one of those places, as well as many tracks across the world, using old air bases to turn into a racing track. Still one of the best, in my opinion, investments that some of these guys have done post-war. But right now, we'll have to see. Julian, I mean, I don't know if we even made our predictions, but I mean, coming out, seeing where qualifying was, seeing where these guys are so far, do you have any predictions going in? Who's going to be the big winner at the end of the day?
I'm going to say Valero's going to take the lead barely ahead of Juan Blenat. I think this is going to be a race decided on strategy. Right now, Jackson Resende is doing very well to keep the lead, but Juan Blenat, he's made up 5 positions. Valero's only made up 2, but we've seen this throughout AMX 5 Valero. I mean, he might not be the quickest, but when it comes to outright consistency, most important, his strategy. Speaking of strategy, into the pit lane goes Juan Blenat, so he does not want to be caught up in any sort of fighting or whatnot, so he's pitting very start, pretty much going for undercut, but side by side between Benitez and Chico. Chico being forced to the inside, sorry, Benitez being forced to the inside. Now Chico onto the grass there, being forced out, and Benitez has got that move for P2. Chico's gonna try holding it around the outside, but he's gonna be shown the grass for a second time there. But yeah, yep, my money is on Valero to take the lead here. I think he'll just have the outright consistency over Juan Blenat.
Yeah, and they're going on the outside of turn number 1. It is possible to get an overtake there, but I mean, it's still very difficult for these guys to get done. You have to have a perfect run out of the home straight into turn 1. But just like that, Ralph Benitez, again, the 2 Delita esports drivers up front, Jackson Assange, Ralph Benitez. We got to see a Brazilian 1-2-3 early on for AMX ZERO. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to happen once again. But I mean, I think, again, one of these Argentinians or even the Frenchman of Gael Valero looking to upset it, looking to split those guys up, maybe even looking to get in front of them. Juan Blenat coming back out. So far, the first driver hit the pit stop now, is still only about 16.5 seconds back, so he has tons of free air now. He's going to start trying to set fast lap after fast lap. So far, that goes to Ralph Benitez up front with a 2:04.7. So these guys still not quite at the same pace, but with his partner in front of him, he's going to try to close down that 1.5 second gap between him and Jackson Assange and have those 2 guys work together to try and get a gap between the rest of the field.
Yeah, it is very close, and now Pedro Dean also by his championship rival. He's been closing up ever so slightly now this past lap, but Valero's also got the slipstream. In fact, Valero's closer to Martin Chico than Pedro Dean is to Valero, so Valero, he just needs to keep putting mobile chicanes between him and, look at that, going wide there is Martin Chico, and Valero is going to say, thank you very much, I'll have that, as Pedro Dean also going into the pit stop, so he's seen that in front of him and says, I don't want to fight, I'm going to do exactly what Juan Blenat did just a lap later and come into the pit stop for early race then, but Valero inherits P3 then, and he's got quite a bit of clean air. In front of him is Benitez.
Yeah, we got to see this, back to our regular programming out this week. Last weekend we had AMX 5 racing out there in the NASCAR Oval. Things getting a little bit shaky as we got to see Gael Valero being challenged for, from an absolute newcomer, sort of what we got to see earlier on in AMX ZERO. Yudu Barrichello getting challenged by a newcomer last week, and we got to see that in NASCAR as well. So definitely great to see some of these guys just come out here, even if it's just for one race, be able to put on a show with some of the best out here, and then go back to what they were doing. But nonetheless, still out here now, lap number 4 in this heat number 1. Our running orders, Jackson Assange up in first, Ralph Benitez in second, and Gael Valero in third. So I think at this point, it's going to be what I mentioned earlier on. Jackson Assange, Ralph Benitez, Gael Valero, these guys that are a lot faster towards the front of the pack. As long as they're not really feeling the pressure, they're probably going to stay out as long as they can until they have to hit back in, get a bit of a splash and dash. Only 17 laps out here at Sebring. These guys most likely not going to be changing tires.
17 long laps, and just Jackson Resende, absolutely amazing that he came from. Same with Benitez there. coming from AMX ZERO. They used the qualifying as kind of their practice session, as now Heat 1, this is where they're probably warmed up. They've become one with the machinery they're driving. Currently they're 1 and 2, but Benitez, he is catching up to the race here. Look at this slipstream. He's getting closer, 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 but not able to make a move. He's having a small look on the outside. Maybe he can get a better run then, and he has gone a better run. I think Jackson Resende might even be pitting. Yep, he was hiking the inside quite a bit now. So that's what you said, Kevin. He felt the pressure and decided to pit, not feeling like it's worth it to fight. So this will be interesting. Where does Juan not come out to Jackson Resende? Because he was in P4 when he pit. Jackson Resende was leading, so we'll keep an eye out on that.
Yeah, the one thing that's a little bit surprising, though, is I'm not sure if Ralph Benitez and Jackson Resende are on comms together right now, because I would assume, you know, with these guys, if they were going to go into the pits, they would probably try to go in somewhat similar. If they have a similar pace, though, however, I guess that's what it really comes down to. If they have a similar pace, it's really beneficial. Try to work together with your teammate. Try to get that gap over Gael Valero. Come home with the win. But right now, we'll have to see, as Ralph Benitez still setting down a great pace out here so far. 1.3 seconds over Gael Valero. Valero another nearly 2 seconds over Martin Chico. So yeah, love to see right now Martin Chico starting to slowly fall back again. But that's where these guys, again, towards the top of the pack out in qualifying. Some of these guys starting to pit already. Jackson Resende was 7th in qualifying, as well as Ralph Benitez, his teammate, was 5th. So they weren't too far off, only about 3/10 out in qualifying. So definitely not the craziest of gap between their pace, but once again, I think, like we mentioned, just once you're just in traffic, sometimes you just want to get out of it, want to get your pit stop out of the way, and just do what you got to do. But right now, still, we have Juan Blenat still leading out of all the guys that have since pitted. Jackson Resende still showing in 8th place right now, so he was able to come in front of Pedro Dean.
And Juan Blenat undercut has worked, as he's pretty much inherited the net lead there once everyone else pits, unless Ralph Benitez and Gael Valero can do absolutely insane overcut. He'll come out in the lead. So my prediction, already seeming like it's out the window, so I'll see myself out. Thank you very much. But Pedro Dean, crucially, not being able to get past Resende, so at least Resende will hopefully come out back in P2 there. He's not really closing up to Juan Blenat. Gap staying roughly the same, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. Just like that. But Valero is closing in ever so slightly. This time out he is not, but Tobias Soriano, he is kind of in no man's land right now. He's 2 or so seconds behind Valero, and he's 8/10 in front of Martin Chico, but really starting to pull a gap. Then he was, I think, 4/10 quicker last time round, so he's really starting to push it. We've seen this before, Kevin. Tobias Soriano come like lap 5 or lap 6, or maybe even Heat 2. That's when he seems to have probably have warmed up and started to push.
Yeah, definitely. Again, like we've seen time and time in AMX 5, even at the halfway point of the race, it's like these guys just flip a switch, start pushing even harder, or even once they hit their pit stop, it's like they go in for the pit stop, come out, and just absolutely push it as hard as they've ever pushed it before. But now, we can see there, Sector 1, Gael Valero having it purple in Sectors 1 and 3, so Valero now starting to pick up the pace just a little bit, starting to really find his groove. I expect him to close that 1.3 second gap between him and Benitez. Again, we'll have to see and wait if Gael Valero, if he's going to wait for Benitez to pit and try and go for the overcut. But we're only 6 laps into this thing right now. Still, Soriano doing a little bit better through sector number 2 than Gael Valero, Martin Chico as well. So love to see Gael Valero, if he's able to make it up. A couple sectors doing really good, a couple sectors not quite as good. Again, very difficult out here in these Porsche Cup cars if you are used to being on some of these top teams. I mean, pretty much most of the races, they are out there in the open series, out there for special events, and they are able to tune their own car. I think right now that is sometimes a bit of a hindrance for some of these drivers that are used to just tweaking their car to the absolute limit, especially when you know these cars inside and out, versus some of the guys that are able to go. But nonetheless, we love to see what these guys can adapt to out here in AMX. I mean, whether it's AMX 5, no matter what, throughout all of the series, no matter the car, no matter the setups, be able to see them adapt and put on a great show. And right now, that is definitely happening for Ralph Benitez, who's still 1.2 seconds going into lap number 7 over Gael Valero. Gael Valero still trying to close down the gap, but even though those two are the top two runners, we still have to keep an eye on Toby Soriano. A 2-minute 3.974 out here, so he has the fastest lap so far. First driver out in heat number 1 to set a sub 2 minute 4 second.
Benitez is doing very well right now to keep Valero at pretty much a arm's length there, 1.3 seconds slipstream, pretty much unusable at that length, and he just can't close in, and he actually went quicker by the slightest there in second one. So this man right here is doing very well, considering just 30 minutes ago, or actually a bit more, an hour or so, he was racing in a Cadillac. Now in a Porsche, he's doing very well to lead. Of course, once he made his pit stop, I would assume he's going to come out, unfortunately, behind Pedro Dean. I'm not sure how long a pit stop is around here, would assume 16, 18 seconds, something around the lines of that. But like I said, he's doing very well right now as the gaps have started to spread. He's actually pulling away from Valero, and I don't remember the last time I said that, Kevin.
Yeah, definitely. It's usually a little bit more rare to see out here, but Ralph Benitez, one of those guys that can actually put it down. He can definitely put it down here out without a doubt. Porsche Cup cars, we've got to see him previously in previous seasons as well. I mean, really, some of these guys, I think they definitely have their favorite cars, their favorite tracks, so I'm not sure if this is one of those combinations that Ralph Benitez is just a lot more comfortable than some of the other guys out here. I mean, hey, for it being out in Florida as well, definitely it would have made it, we'd have to see if there was going to be rain. So far it's looking like it's going to be a pretty nice day out here in sunny Florida, but that has come into effect. We'll have to see as well. Tomorrow we got our AMX 10 finale. Next weekend we got AMX 5 grand finale as well as AMX 15. So it's a tight race up there. AMX 15, a lot of these same guys still participating in that. We're going to see if Juan Blanat is able to take home the championship and upset Guy Valero for that one. As well as today's race, Juan Blanat still leading the pack for all of those guys that have pitted so far. Pedro Dean now trying to battle it out in the back with Jackson Asante. So these guys not really going to be where they end up falling back in once the checkered flag flies out here in heat number 1. We still have all of our top 6 guys yet to pit. So again, Julian, pit stops usually can make or break the race. I think these guys out here too, you don't really want to end up in no man's land unless you're absolutely comfortable with it. But we've seen time and time again, either you just start to lose focus at certain points, or whether you're one of these aliens that you just, hey, focus on the road ahead and just zone out like no one else exists, just setting fast lap after fast lap. So we'll have to wait and see, as now Pedro Dean next closest in the championship to Guy Valero. But right now, it's going to come down to really the pit strategy. Double points out here for heat number 1, and then we go back to 1250 for first place. Again, you'll see periodically the points going on the right-hand side of the screen throughout the races to kind of go on there. Again, you can check amxrace.com, see the schedule, see where these guys are in the points championship, and now you can just see these guys. Again, it's a battle of attrition out here at Sebring, no matter the car, no matter the length of the race.
Absolutely. I mean, even if it would be like a 3-lap race, you'd have people first holding back and then absolutely go for it at the end. And someone who is absolutely going for it right now is Tobias Soriano, who set the fastest lap of the race last time out. So he's absolutely flying right now, 1.9 seconds behind Valero. Valero has started to catch back up to Benitez ever so slightly, but now Pedro Dean and Jackson Resende, 2 out of the 3 that have made a pit stop so far. Resende, then he was leading the race up until his pit stop then, and Pedro Dean tried to undercut Jackson Resende, going off into the grass there, becoming a lawnmower for a second, so helping out all the other drivers to avoid that total grass on the exit. Now Pedro Dean, he's 2 and a bit tenths behind. Can he make the move? He is looking everywhere, but you can't make a move yet. You really gotta wait for the main straight, or at least some sort of break. He's practically pushing him through these corners now onto the main straight. He's 3-4 tenths back then with the slipstream. It is a long main straight, but I think he's just a tad too far behind.
So here we go, folks. Lap number 9 of 17 out here. So we're about halfway through with this race. And now, like I mentioned earlier, this is where a lot of the drivers tend to just turn it up to 11, start pushing a little bit harder. And now Pedro Dean definitely looking to do it over his fellow countryman, Jackson Asante. So again, a couple of the elite guys out here today. Got to see a few of them out there with other duties. I know got to see Tony Kanaan out for some of the other stuff as well. So We'll catch up more on that after the race. But right now, during this race again, AMX 5 been usually, I mean, it's been Gael Valero's championship pretty much all since. It's been great to see some of these guys really put him into battle. Pedro Dean been one of those that he's really shown whenever we have put these guys into a formula style car, an open seater, whenever we had the super formulas as well as out there in the F1 cars a couple weeks ago. That's really where Pedro Dean gets to shine. So right now, still doing a great job so far out in the Porsche Cup cars, putting the pressure onto Jackson Sanjay. And another fact out here, we are out in Sebring. This has been part of the Porsche Carrera Cup North America series since 2021. So right now they are in their 4th year. Of course, like we mentioned, the biggest race of the year out in Sebring, the 12 Hours of Sebring, known for IMSA as well. But there's plenty of races all year long. I know as well. Got to see going on the Radical North America Cup. It looks like there's a bit of an incident going up ahead. We'll have to see what happened there, as that looks like that's Evandro Dantas. We're going to have to catch a replay on that one, Julian.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Pedro Dean is going to take advantage of that. Jackson Resende was caught a bit unawares. There's now Pedro Dean has pulled alongside down the straight. It's now a straight drag race into the right-hander. They go. It is oh so close. Resende's got that inside line. Pedro Dean's going to try holding it on the outside, and I think he's managed to get it done. They're still side by side going on to the main straight, but now he's right in the bumper. He's in the slipstream. He's actually already pulled out of the slipstream. He's now on the outside going into turn 1. They're still racing. Jackson Resende pinching him to the outside, and I think Jackson Resende has just done enough there to keep P7 and P2 of the pit stop runners, but he's gone a bit too wide there, and now they're back side by side again. But now finally he's got P7. But what happened to Evandro Dantas? Maybe just running a bit too wide or something, maybe hitting the wall on the inside. I don't really know. We'll have to get a replay of that one, but what a fight that was. We need a replay of that fight as well. That was absolutely banging. Here's what happened to Evandro Dantas. Did he just go a bit too wide? Oh, it gets stuck on the curbing there, and I'm guessing he spins, or at least loses quite a bit of momentum, and he actually gets stuck on there. So on the inside curb he spun, and then on the outside curb he got stuck.
Yeah, definitely. So that's one of those places, I mean, you want to really cut that curbing, but hey, if you take it too deep inside of the curbing, it can really just upset the car. Like I said, one of these tracks, very bumpy once you hit the concrete sections as well as hitting some of those curbings. So again, yeah, I mean, that was a smart thing to do. Just try to get off the track, not cause an accident. So unfortunate for Evandro Dantas, but luckily he was able to get off just in time for Jackson Sanjay Pedro Dean to end up not getting caught up by him. So yeah, we'll have to see. Evandro Dantas now, I mean, actually is looking like he will be sitting towards the back. Again, these guys in front, Juan Blanat, Jackson Sanjay, Pedro Dean, the top 3 of, well, the only 3 of those that have pitted. But just as soon as I say that, Ralph Benitez is now starting to hit the pits. So we'll have to see. We're waiting to see what Gael Valero was going to do, if he's going to get the overcut. It looks like he is going to go for the overcut, as well as now another driver heading back in. We see Ralph Benitez coming out. Yeah, I mean, Julian, right here, this is really where things are going to get shaken up once again. Now Ralph Benitez trying to just get a little bit more fuel, come back out now, coming on pit exit. But we'll have to see, as Juan Blanat only about 100 meters off right now. Will he be able to get in front of him going into turn number 1? We'll just have to wait and see, as the guys behind him. Ooh, close once again. Pedro Dean, Jackson Sanjay side by side, and they touch going before turn number 1, but now able to get back in line, going for the switchback. And no, Pedro Dean losing it, locking up the brakes, able to just barely save it from going into a half spin.
Wow, well, they were door banging down the straight, and then he tried to go for the switchback, the right to left, but the rear end would just not agree to what he wanted to do, and they would step out on him, and now he needs to re-engage. He's 2.5 seconds behind. He's lost his rhythm. He's now got Evandro Dantas in his rearview mirror instead of looking in front of him. He needs to re-engage, and that could be huge. That could have taken all the hard work from his undercut away, which will allow Valero, even Via Soriano, to come out in front of him. But crucially, look at that, Ralph Benitez not too far behind Juan Blanat. Valero was also a further second behind that. So the overcut or the undercut worked for Juan Blanat, but the overcut might work for Gael Valero on Jackson Resende and Pedro Dean.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see where Gael Valero is going to come. Will he be pitting this lap, or he's going to wait, as we can see out there in the distance behind him. Toby Soriano still about a 2-second gap. I mean, still as open as Sebring is, you really got to be able to keep your eye on the driver in front of you. But now, no. Yeah. Right there, Gael Valero now hitting the pits. Toby Soriano staying out. So now Toby Soriano going to be trying to really set the lap of his lifetime. I think right now, Toby Soriano, he knows he is going to have to set the fastest lap right now if he's going to want to be able to come out in front of Gael Valero. Gael Valero going to have a perfect pit stop. So Gael Valero now, as he's going into the pits, you can just see the long run up in pit road, as well as Juan Blanat. Juan Blanat only about 100 meters off the guys in front of the pit lane too. So we're going to have to see Juan Blanat. Looks like he will possibly getting in front of Gael Valero. Gael Valero now coming out of pit exit. Will it be Blanat able to get in front of the lead? Gael Valero holding on to the outside, but no, Blanat will lead this race.
Well, Valero's normal strat of going long has worked. I'm very surprised by that. It seems like Juan Blanat had some absolutely blistering pace, but it seems like Valero had even more blistering pace than us. He's only alpha a second behind now, and he needs to now just stay in this window where next time round on the main straight he's in the slipstream and he can close back in. This is kind of what I was shooting for with my prediction, that Valero wins on strategy and he's able to get close due to strategy, because Blanat, he had to fight his way through, he had to overtake the likes of Pedro Dean, sorry not Pedro Dean, but Diego Villarreal and those guys, but Tobias Soriano and Martin Chico yet to make their pit stop, so they're going even longer than Gael Valero. It's going to be so close between him and Juan Blanat. And I mean, these two, we expected this fight then. To be honest, I was expecting it lap 16 and 17, not lap 12 out of 17, so we got 5 to 6 laps then of this absolutely brutal fight. I feel like Valero will only have one chance to make the move, because once you make the move and you fail, you're gonna lose some momentum, and I think then they're so evenly matched on pace that Juan Blanat will just be able to keep him at 7 or 8 tenths or so.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see. We'll have to see again if Toby Soriano, is he going to pit this lap, or is he going to wait to go in? Now he's on lap 12 already, so Toby Soriano is going to be staying out, as well as Martin Chico. So neither of those guys hitting the pits are going to try and stay out as long as they can. Again, really take advantage of having that light fuel load. Try to set fastest lap, but right now still Gael Valero still holds on to the fastest lap. The last one, a 2:03.9 from Toby Soriano. So Soriano's still a little bit quick, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to get out in front of Juan Blanat and Gael Valero. It's going to be really close once they come out of the pits. Right now, still about 9-second gap between Soriano and Martin Chico. So I think Martin Chico definitely going to be falling down the running order once he comes out of the pits. But right now, this is still a battle everyone has been looking forward to. Everyone's been focusing on Juan Blanat trying to defend off Gael Valero. There's about a 1-second gap between Gael Valero and Ralph Benitez behind him. So Benitez, unfortunately, starting to fall behind his fall out of the draft just a little bit, letting Blanat and Valero to start walking away just a little bit. Again, if these two guys start to work together until the last lap or the penultimate lap, that's going to be very bad for Ralph Benitez. Yeah, Jill, I'm still surprised though. Benitez and Jackson Sanjay, the two delinquent teammates out here, that they did not pit on the same lap together, try to really just have a drafting partner and try to catch up, do what they can, especially with such a long back straight here at Sebring. Try to get maybe a little bit of bump drafting going on and try to just do what you can to work together. But nonetheless, still, Gael Valero, Juan Blanat, the top two drivers, some of the top two drivers that we've got to see out here all season long. Lap number 13. When will our leaders pit? That is what it's going to come down to win the race.
Yeah, I'm also a bit puzzled between what they're doing to esports stuff. I mean, Jackson Rosende came into the pit when he was leading. Pedro Dean was 9 P67, something along the lines of that, but now Tobias Soriano's in, and I was just thinking, I'm not too sure. If I'm not mistaken, I think Juan Blanat started racing in AMX 5 about halfway through the season, if I'm not mistaken. Could you imagine these two having an absolute championship fight in Season 7? I mean, look how close they are on track right now in the GT3s. And Season 7, I mean, I would love to see a championship fight between these two. Look how close they is. Valero 2 tenths behind in the slipstream. He's closing in, and closing. Soriano's pit stop. You might see him there on the left. There he is on the left. Valero has a look on the outside, but not close enough yet.
So just like that, Soriano coming out of that one now, coming into P4. So just ahead of Jackson Sanjay by about 5.5 seconds. Still almost a couple seconds behind Ralph Benitez. So yeah, Toby Soriano is really going to have to push if he wants to get up onto the podium as well. Still, it's one thing to catch someone, it's another thing to pass them. As now we see Vander Dantas back there in P9 going into the pits. So that's looking like where he is most likely going to end up at the end of heat number 1. So Vander Dantas may be leading that. Oh, the number 9 right there, Ralph Benitez going off track. So just like that, this is definitely making it look a lot better for Toby Soriano. Soriano taking advantage of that error right there. Now up into 3rd place. Again, still about 2.3 seconds on as the Plena and Valero go on the last few laps, but that might just be enough of an error for Toby Soriano to start really catching up to these guys.
Oh, that's such a shame. He was doing so well, especially before his pit stop. I mean, he was in contention for the lead now that everyone has made their pit stop. But Valero still 2.5 tenths behind Plena. Can he go for the move? He needs to get a good run out of the long right-hander at the final corner. Will he get it? I think that will be race defining if he can get in the lead, because I think once he's in the lead, it really seems like he's putting the, I mean, he is really putting the pressure on him. There you go in the bottom right, in the picture, you see Benitez incidents, and it seems like, I think he just locked up, almost smashing into the back of Valero then. Valero now in the slipstream, down the pit straight, and he's gonna try it, or sorry, not the pit straight. Yeah, he goes to the left, and then goes to the right, fakes to the left, goes to the right even, and now he's on the inside, then oh so close, and there is contact, crumbling off the descent, spinning and drifting into the barrier. Actually, he's managed somehow to keep out of the barrier, so very nicely done. But he's down to P4, and I'm not sure if that was my prediction winning on strategy there, or if that was just Valero understeering out into him. Either way, I'll take it, because right now my prediction is bang on.
And we'll have to see right now. Again, right now, Jackson essentially in front of Juan Blenat. So Blenat trying to make up as many positions as he can after that incident there. Again, we'll have to catch a replay just to see from a little bit of a different angle. Was that guy out there just trying to push a little bit hard? Was these two, you know, did they lose a little bit of grip? Or was it one of those incidents of, hey, a bit of net code? Because, I mean, that was such a hard snap oversteer from Juan Blenat that, again, that's just such a hard thing to call from this angle. Again, we'll have to see in the replay what happened. But I mean, just like that, the pressure is off of Gael Valero. About 2 seconds almost between him and Toby Soriano. We've seen Toby Soriano start to close the gap earlier on, but with only a couple laps left out here, I'm not sure if Soriano is going to have enough to push it. Once again, Gael Valero not really too worried in terms of overall championship points. He would love to get that gap even more than it currently is, but he's already 4 positions over Pedro Dean, as well as over Jackson Sanjay, Juan Blenat. So a lot of these other quick guys, Gael Valero is definitely very far ahead in the championship. But right now we're going to go into a full screen replay to see exactly what happened going into the final turn on the last lap. So here, again, these guys just battling so hard. There we see Juan Blenat into the outside, Gael Valero from the inside, and now coming out, man, these guys getting super close, and it does look like, I mean, again, it's so hard to tell. There was inches there, but I'm not sure if that one would be chalked up to a racing incident or if there's going to see anything that the racing stewards have to say about it. But like I said, from this point of view, it looked like there was still a few inches there, very close, possibly a netcode incident, possibly Gael Valero just not quite having the grip on that inside line. But I mean, just the slightest of touches there, sending Juan Blenat to the outside, and that could have ended up a lot worse. Still unfortunate for Juan Blenat. We'll have to see if he's able to come back in heat number 2 and be able to redeem himself.
Well, that's such a tricky incident to call. On one side, you could say Valero just cleanly understeers into him. On the other side, you can say Juan Blenat leaving maybe just even a bit too little room for Valero to work with on the inside. Very much a tricky call by Tobias Soriano, and he closed in by 4 tenths, I think, on lap 14 or lap 15, going on 16 onto Valero. Cap 1.7. I think it's a bit too late with only less than 2 laps to go. Then we're on the penultimate lap right now, and it seems like it's all in Valero's hands.
Yeah, I mean, again, Valero would like to close out the season right now to say, okay, I want to get this championship out of the way. That way he can focus on tomorrow's championship. Again, he's he's in the lead by a significant amount for AMX 10, but it is a doubleheader out there tomorrow. So Gael Valero looking to close out the championship early today, looking to close out the AMX 10 championship tomorrow. That way he can focus on winning the AMX 15 championship. Again, it's going to be a very tight race. There's going to have to be a lot of things to happen if Gael Valero wants to be able to take home the AMX 15 championship. Just so many things will have to fall into place. Again, last weekend, if you weren't here for that, Gael Valero missed qualifying. So since he missed qualifying, technically, if you don't put in a qualifying lap or attempt to put in a qualifying lap, you can be DQ'd from heat number 1. He came back in heat number 2 to do a great job out there, but just, for AMX 15, heat number 1 is a triple the points compared to qualifying in heat number 2. So definitely took a huge points deduction for all that. I mean, not necessarily a deduction, but there was so many more points on the line to be able to get the championship over Wembley, not for AMX 15. So these guys still battling it out here a little bit today. Great, but now the white flag is going to be flying. Gael Valero, a 1.6 second gap between him and Toby Soriano. Soriano is going to just have to hope for Valero to make a mistake going into the final lap if he wants any chance of this win.
I doubt that's going to happen, but we have seen race leaders spinning on the final lap. I think Pedro Dean back in the back on the Nürburgring in the Formula, I think it was the F4 car, if I remember correctly, spinning on the final lap, coming out of the final chicane there. Luckily, he had a 10-second lead. Valero does not have that sort of luxury this time around, but I highly doubt he's going to end it. He's just, like you said, he's just taking it calm now. He knows what's at stake and no risks. I mean, he's already leading by such a large margin. Via Soriano is pushing. He's just hoping that he can force Valero into any sort of error, but without any luck. I would say Benitez as well in P3 doing very well considering his opening stint there. Very well in the lead. Jackson Resende getting a mega start where he got the lead. But in the end, then it's going to be Valero who wins. Like I said, on strategy then, he had a bit of a iffy moment with Wembley not there. And then in the final corner where they were bumping and banging a bit too much.
Yeah, definitely everyone out there, if you want to catch a great race, that was back in week 4 on race day number 7 out of the Super Formula 2023 class out there in the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke. So definitely both of these guys, Gael Valero and Pedro Dean, both having a spin out there, making it very tense out there in heat number 1. But nonetheless, coming back to this penultimate round out here today, Gael Valero will be increasing his championship lead again. We'll have to see if there's anything protested from the racing stewards, but that may just have been a racing incident. Both of them racing very tight. Gael Valero coming across, your heat number 1 winner. Toby Soriano coming soon behind in 2nd place, and Ralph Benitez finishing it off in 3rd place. Out here, heat number 1, things are looking great as Gael Valero finishing with 2 tires up on the wall, and now the rest of the pack slowly coming across the finish line. We see Wembley not getting caught up in the incident a few laps earlier on with Gael Valero really looking to have that win, but unfortunately, hard racing and just such a hard track out here. Definitely not any surprise from there being incidents out here today. Diego Virel now coming across the line, and that will be looking like we're going to be wrapping it up for heat number 1. So just like that, I mean, again, great battle going on all the way down the last few laps. We thought it was going to come down to the line between Wembley and Gael Valero until that incident a few laps down. But after round number 1, heat number 1, it looks like it will be Gael Valero out there in 1st place, setting it down your BenQ session winner. In 2nd place, we got Toby Soriano. 3rd, Ralph Benitez. 4th place, Jackson Sanjay. 5th, Pedro Dean. 6th, Wembley Not. 7th, Martin Chico. 8th, Diego Virel. And rounding now in 9th, Avandro Dantas with the fastest lap going to Ralph Benitez. But now the drivers are hitting it back onto the grid again. Another standing start out here. Heat number 2. Who's going to get a great lead? We'll have to see as Avandro Dantas having an unfortunate heat number 1, trying to redeem himself, put it back out there for his country, put it back out there for his team as well. So again, Julian, any predictions on what we're going to see out here for heat number 2?
It's a trigger one to call, but we're all the way underway, and it is dark, so this is going to be very pretty then, and it's a great start for onboard with Ralph Benitez, and already up into P4 or P5 even. But look at that, side by side, the floodlights are going, just an absolute stream of lights then heading towards turn 3 now, 3 abreast there between the number, not 95, number 1 car, we gotta remember that, but still leading away is Juan Blenat, so he's had an absolutely mega start from, I'm assuming he started P4. He did start P4 as he finished P6 last time out. Oh wow, but this is going to be a great race. As for predictions, it's a hard one to call, but more action as we're seeing right now. Looking right, looking left for the overtake. Then on Pedro Dean is the number 33 car. That is Gael Valero. He almost tried going around the outside there.
Yeah, not the best of starts for Evandro Dangas or Diego Villarreal. Unfortunately, both of them dropping down 7 positions off of the start. But still great news, though, for some of these guys up front. Juan Blenat already in the lead of this thing. We know he has the pace to win it. So, again, I think now he's going to try to really just get an early lead over Martin Chico and try to get that gap going. If he's able to do that, it's only 12 laps out here for heat number 2. But one thing to keep in mind now that we are racing in the dark, you want to be in part of the pack, just have that many more lights shining on the field. But a lot of these drivers know this track like the back of their hand, so I don't expect it to be that big of an issue. For everyone out there watching live, make sure to scan the QR code, pop it up on your screen. Get all of the live timing information that we have up here as well. Follow along at home. Again, Juan Blenat, we'll have to see. He has the pace. I'm so curious if it would have come down to the line in heat number 1 between him and Gael Valero if it were not for that incident a few laps down from the finish. But here we go. These guys wobbling up. Martin Chico, Jackson Asensio towards the front of the pack. Pedro Dean as well getting into the thick of things. Let's see, Pedro Dean trying to hang it around the outside. He did that earlier, but into the wall. A hard slam for Pedro Dean. Now sliding across the track. It looked like he may have made contact again, going into almost a half spin, and that looks like that's going to be Pedro Dean's race.
Such a shame, just tagging the wall on the eggs and then carrying across the track. Lucky not to pick up Tobias Soriano in there. He just managed to escape there, sneaking by, but that was so close. Now Jackson Resende getting past Martin Chico, who I think went a bit wide there because Gael Valero was able to slip by as well. Valero's had an absolutely brilliant start so far, up from P10 or P9, so all the way to P3, 6 positions again, and he's 2/10 by Jackson Resende, so he's looking to get another race win, hopefully make up for his mistake with Juan Blenat and have a good battle with him, which I would absolutely love to see. Like I said in Heat 1, having a championship fight between those two next season would be an absolute dream, and the PR team would absolutely love that. Would be great advertisement for AMX.
And here we go. So right now, Gael Valero trying to battle it off himself and Jackson Sanchez. So we've seen these two battle off. One of the best attackers, one of the best defenders that we've seen out here at AMX. So definitely keep an eye on this. But Martin Chico right behind Valero, just looking like these guys are starting to bunch up, and now we see a bit of a side-by-side action going on. Looks like that might be Martin Chico. Ralph Benitez got Toby Soriano getting into the mix of things as well. So things are heating up right now in the middle of the pack. We can see the Delete Esports driver right there of Benitez just trying to hold on to it, getting a little bit sandwiched between the two Argentinian drivers. Again, these guys coming out, we've seen those curving right there, getting a little bit dicey, but now these guys are going to make the move to the inside, getting a bit better exit, and now we can see 3 wide, not quite, now going 2 wide to the outside, now looking to get the inside line, but everyone slots right back into the train going into the final turn. I mean, this turn right here, of course, the final turn at Sebring, being known as the Sunset Bend, but we unfortunately did not get to see the sunset. I know these guys, as much as they might or may not like driving in the night, at least they did not have to deal with the sun blaring right into their eyes, because the amount of races I've seen where these drivers going down the final straight into the Sunset Bend, having to fight off the sun as well as fight off the other drivers, is a recipe for disaster. So let's see right now, lap number 3, Juan Blenat already almost in 3-second gap in first place.
Oh, that's the worst as a sim driver, having the sun just glare at you, especially if it's so low when it's saying, I mean, It's worse than a laggy driver in front of you. It's worse than if you're carrying a lot of damage. Just that sun is absolutely killer. Even when you're just out for a lovely Sunday drive, it's absolutely killer. So they should be glad that they don't have that to deal with. Instead, they've just got these lovely Porsche 911s to light up the track for them, which is why it's crucial, like you said, to stay with each other. Valero was able to get past Jackson Resende. Somewhere we're actually on board with Jackson Resende right now. We're still trying to keep up with Valero. Valero's got a 3-second gap into Juan Blena. Will he be able to catch that up? That's a big gap to catch up to someone like Juan Blena.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, Gael Valero, he wants to win out here once again. He wants to, I mean, everyone always wants to win every single time, but again, back to the overall points championship out here for AMX 5. Things are looking very much in favor of Gael Valero. Unfortunately, Pedro Dean now retiring from heat number 2 after that incident after lap number 1, going into the wall. And yeah, I mean, just heartbreaking for Pedro Dean. If there was whatever hopes left of winning the championship, I think went with him right there, going into the wall out here at Sebring. So absolutely heartbreaking, but we know Pedro Dean is definitely going to be coming back strong next week, trying to be putting it down. Speaking of next week for AMX 5, we're going to be heading over in the GTE cars out at Interlagos. So Interlagos will be our grand finale for AMX 5. Make sure to stay tuned in for that one as well. Right before AMX ZERO, the grand finale, the Radical SR8s out at Tsukuba. Another just really great car track combination for that one. Anytime we get a tight track with small cars on it, hey, it's going to be a good time. Again, make sure everyone as well tune in tomorrow. Make sure to not miss our TCR, our AMX 510 grand finale, where things are looking very good for Gael Valero out there as well. But back to what's going on out here today on track. We are currently lap number 4 of 12 out here in heat number 2. Juan Blena now a 3.3 second gap between himself in first place and Gael Valero in third. Jackson Senjay trying to take away that second place spot from Gael Valero. But like I mentioned, both of these guys going to have to absolutely just pull something out of their hat if they want to. Gael Valero just showing a little bit better pace out here today at Sebring.
Yeah, Juan Blena, I think he's got that incident in the back of his mind, so now he's driving with a bit of anger and a bit more passion than in heat 1, and he does not want to give up this race win so easily, because Valero, he's actually being put under quite a bit of pressure from Resende behind. Gap only 3/10, and Resende is doing very well in the dark, so he seems to be a nocturnal driver here in the Porsche 911 around Sebring. He's doing so well to keep up with them, and I think he might be able to go for a move in 1 or 2 laps if he keeps this pace up, and he can just get a good run. And a good run involves, well, that speed that he took going into the apex, also a better exit speed there going off onto the grass. He's been doing that quite a bit today.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, I think right now just seeing the absolute focus on these guys' face. Again, Gael Valero, one of these guys that we typically just see whenever he locks in, that's how you know he is just in the zone. And whoa, as we come around the final corner, you can see how close these drivers get to that outside wall coming around the final turn. Juan Blena now though, coming across the checkered start-finish line, setting the fastest lap at 2:03.3. 2:03.4, but still, that is still nearly 3/10 faster than Gael Valero. So these guys out here, Ralph Benitez as well, setting down some blazing lap times, just a 10th off of the pace of Juan Blena. So we'll have to see by the end of this who is going to set it down. The one big thing now, setting it at nighttime, the track temps are cooling. These guys are possibly only going to get faster from here on out.
Absolutely, track temp is at 27.7 degrees Celsius, so it is pretty much, well, it's on its way to being prime driving conditions here, where the track is not absolutely scorching. It's just enough to keep the tires up to temperature, and where the cars can also help with keeping the tires temperature. But like I said, Resende doing very good. Benitez, like you said, Kevin, as well, doing very well here in AMX 5 tonight, as Tobias Soriano got past Martin Chico there up to P5. He goes. Resende is really starting to put the pressure on Valero now. If he can just get a clean lap where he gets a good run, especially out of the final corner, like we said, no sun there glaring him down, just get a good run out of that long right-hander onto the main straight, and I think he'll be able to just have a small look up the inside, just enough to put Valero off his line to where he can then contend going into turns 2 and 3.
Definitely so. I mean, seeing how good Valero is out here, we might have to see if we're going to hear from him after the race. Again, being the points leader pretty much all season long, the overall points leader, there's no way anyone else is going to be able to catch up to him how far he is in the overall points. But where it comes down to is in each class, the championship leader right now still AMX 5, AMX 10. He is not the championship leader in AMX 15. That goes to Juan Blenat. Again, we got to see a great battle going on last weekend. This one's still going to be coming down to the wire. Alvaro are going to have to absolutely have everything perfect, like we mentioned earlier on, if he wants to take home that AMX 15 championship. But as it stands, you got to know this man is still, at least, hey, I don't know if it's going to be a relief or excitement from Gael Valero, knowing that he's going to be walking in here once again, just moments away from becoming the, again, 3-time champion out here for AMX. Of course, we have to wait for the official results, but so far, that is what it's looking like is going to happen, Julian.
Absolutely, and he'll be able to set eyes on AMX 15 to also secure the championship there. So securing this slightly earlier, just to kind of not forget about AMX 5, but not make it his top priority. Not that was at the start due to the massive gap that he did have anymore, but yeah, he's doing very well, and he has done. I mean, for me, Valeri's always been that driver who's not necessarily always been that fastest driver out on track. You see Pamela now, the gap now is 3.8 seconds between, but he's just been very consistent. That's what got him the win in Heat 1. He just stayed out there while everyone was pitting, stuck in traffic, just put in consistent lap times, and then he came out right behind Pamela. Sure, the move wasn't what he was expecting or what we were hoping for. At the end of the day, he did finish in P1 pre-stewarding and all those so provisional results, like you said, we need to remember. But with Pedro Dean down and out of this race, I think that he's pretty much got it wrapped up.
Yeah, so we'll have to see again. I mean, there's still a lot that can happen. Anything can happen. But, I mean, right now, still, if we're just going based off predictions, based off statistics, it is looking extremely good for a lot of these guys. Pedro Dean, like I said, I think any bit of championship hopes that he had. I know last weekend a wrench got thrown into the midst of things. Last weekend for AMX 5, we did have a NASCAR race going on. So, of course, those still go towards our AMX championship and one-off races. We still like to see what these guys can do. And Gael Valero putting it down last weekend as well. So we'll have to see right now. Toby Soriano now having to hit the pits. Pedro Dean unfortunately retired early on. So we got a couple of drivers just not looking like they're going to be where they're at. Again, I don't really expect there to be anyone running out of fuel out here, but I'm not sure if that's what Toby Soriano is pitting for right now. Again, Toby Soriano hit the pits. He's been in there for quite a while already, a 20-second pit stop. So I think that may be his race as well.
Yeah, and he was doing very well in Heat 1. He had great pace in Heat 1. I think he was one of the fastest there, just behind Valero in terms of fastest lap. But now he's got it out of that. That just shows how much a long race. I mean, we had 17 laps. Now we have 12 laps. This is essentially a sprint now if you compare it to Heat 1. Everyone just driving a tad bit more aggressively because it's just how it is. We've seen it throughout. Drivers tend to get more aggressive in Heat 2. We've seen it in AMX ZERO, AMX 5, throughout AMX 10 and the TCR class. We've seen that before, and we're seeing it again today. Just drivers getting a bit more aggressive. Of course, we don't have the double points that we had in Heat 1 now. So if you do lose out, you don't lose out by as much as you would usually, but still like quite a bit. Benitez then also behind Jackson Resende. So now Valero has been able to shake off Jackson Resende after pretty much 5 laps of him being right behind him. As now Benitez in the slipstream, gaining ever so slightly. Is he going to have a look down the inside? I think he's just going to stay behind for now. Yes, he is, but going into the right-hander, he's certainly closing in.
We'll have to see is trying to just do some quick math in the background as well. So just seeing everything from last weekend to what's going out on track today. I mean, pretty much if Gael Valero just stays where he's at right now, I mean, again, he will be our champ-elect after this race. Anything can still happen, but I mean, you know, the numbers don't lie. So trying to do all the quick maths. I didn't get the exact numbers, but like I said at the beginning of this stream, Gael Valero only had to be over 56 points going out of today's races if he wanted to do that. Where he sat in qualifying and where he is right now over Pedro Dean, over some of these other guys, again, that is looking like it may happen. Ralph Benitez, one of these guys next closest up there for the championship, but just the gap that Gael Valero has had. I mean, Ralph Benitez, a couple weeks ago, again, there was almost a 200-point gap, I think a 180-point gap a couple weeks ago. So with last week's NASCAR race, with what's going on today, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to say he is the champ officially, but again, just running the quick math, hey, he is pretty much going to be our champ-elect at the end of today's race. So not sure if he's already done the math himself, if he is kind of looked into this, but again, from what we've seen from Gael Valero in previous races, he just comes out here just to put it down what he can, tries to win every single race, tries to do that, and that level of consistency, that mindset going into every single AMX race is why he is in the points lead.
Yeah, he very much seems like the driver who wouldn't do the method of the race. If someone would tell him, yeah, you've got a chance of winning the championship, he'll just say okay and drive a normal race, which would probably involve him going super long, hitting on the penultimate lap, and then winning or coming at least on the podium. I'm not sure if there's been a race where he hasn't been on the podium yet, or at least in the top 5. Mega consistent driver, like we've mentioned throughout the season. Tobias Oriano, though, I think he pitted for damage, Kevin, because his pit stop was that long, so I doubt it was fuel. I'll be very surprised if it is fuel. But this man who did not pit, he won't pit because he's absolutely flying. Another fastest lap by Juan Blenat. He's now leading by 4 seconds to Gael Valero. Valero almost cracking his fastest lap, just a 10th off.
Yeah, now seeing this, I mean, Gael Valero finishing second place, so it was Juan Blenat in first place during qualifying, Gael Valero in third place for qualifying, but swapping things back over to heat number 1, Gael Valero coming home with the win. Unfortunately, that incident that himself and Juan Blenat got into sent Juan Blenat all the way down to a P6 finish for heat number 1. So again, heat number 1 out here has double the points for the win, double the points, I mean, for the entire grid all the way down to 15th place. So everyone out here, it's looking very good for the overall win of the day for Gael Valero right now, currently sitting in second place. So although he is almost 4 seconds behind Juan Blenat, Gael Valero is looking like right now maybe taking home the overall win of the day and maybe securing that championship.
The overall win, I think he's gotten quite a few of those overall wins, but also quite a few session wins throughout the season. It was at the start of the stream or at the start of AMX5. I just can't remember the figures exactly. I think he's got 3 overall wins, maybe 2, and then quite a few session, or maybe it was 3 session wins. I don't remember quite yet, but it's quite a few, and that's what's put him in this position right here, where you can just cruise home in P2 and win the championship. And you can just see 8 headlights just trailing down this back straight. Then it was 6.
Yeah, definitely. So right here, I mean, again, the sun setting, everything coming out here, these guys having to race at night. Some of them used to it from a lot of the iRacing special events, a lot of these 12-hour endurance races, 24-hour endurance races, and a lot of the like. I mean, we got to see not too long ago another difficult track out here. Gael Valero was racing for Apex Racing Team out at the Petit Le Mans. There we can see your driver spotlight. So the driver, like I mentioned, racing for Apex Racing Team, one of the best teams out there, one of the best drivers out there on all of iRacing. Especially we got to see last season as well. He was able to put it down in Assetto Corsa Competizione, being able to go back and forth between him and some of the other top drivers. Of course, Simone Seminara being able to really put it down for Assetto Corsa Competizione. We've got to see him as well out here, but like I mentioned, Gael Valero kind of seems like no matter what sim you put him in, he is going to at least be a top 5 finish position. And once again out here, getting that podium, you know he would want to get 2 wins in a row out here today, but he will definitely be glad nonetheless with taking home P2, being able to really just have that cemented in history, saying, you know what, I've come in here the last few seasons and I've taken home a championship the last few seasons.
Yeah, definitely. For me, he's the most rounded driver. I mean, like you said, you can throw him in any sim, in any car. I mean, he raced GT3s, he raced open wheeler. He's the most well-rounded driver. I mean, you've got the likes of Pedro, absolutely phenomenal in open wheels. Like we said, super formula. He got the win there over Valero, but Valero was just able to keep it A, consistently, and B, consistently throughout all series, throughout LMP, throughout GT3, open wheel, and all of that. But other drivers, they're super quick in, for example, GT3, but then in open wheel, it's a whole nother story. I mean, not too long ago, we were racing in the Mercedes W13, and managing curves or ERS, DRS is a whole nother thing to managing ABS and traction control, and he's just being able to specialize him in all kinds of fields.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the beauty of AMX. No matter what car you put these guys on, no matter what track, a lot of them rise to the challenge, able to be consistently great drivers no matter the condition. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, unofficially, Gael Valero, as it is standing, looking to be very, very good out here. I know we sound like a broken record, but I mean, it's just hard not to recognize greatness when there is. So again, for season 7, a lot of people out there, if there's someone out there watching this saying, you know what, I think I have what it takes to be battling against these guys, to be able to take home a championship, we would absolutely love to see you. So again, make sure to stay tuned. All of our social media, as well as check the website, amxrace.com, once we do start posting more information about what's to be coming for next season. Again, we've heard a lot of driver feedback for things going on this season. We've had a lot of different format changes, so I expect season 7 there to be, once again, a lot of things said. Hey, drivers like what we used to do in some of the older seasons, drivers like some of the stuff that we've done in newer seasons. So to try and find a great balance, to have great racing along for the viewers, for the drivers, for everyone. But at the end of the day, we know it is going to be close. And right now, still, what we expected was a close battle in heat number 1. We thought it may be just as close out here in heat number 2, but Juan Blanat has shown that, again, once he is really able to get a significant gap in the lead, he just puts it into another zone. This man just driving like an absolute out here in heat number 2. But right now we're going to kick it back to the back of the field. Evandro Dantas now trying to get back up, start to claw back some of those positions from earlier on in the race. Right now he does have the pace over Diego Villarreal, as well as Toby Soriano. However, Toby Soriano did have to end up hitting the pits and is down about 30 seconds. So Toby Soriano, Pedro Dean, unfortunately out of this race.
Yeah, white flag is out, and Evandro Dantas, he's been closing up ever so slightly to Diego Villarreal, but I think it's a bit too little, a bit too late. He went off into the grass as well, killing most of his momentum. In his final hope is really down towards turn 1 then, and he's a second behind, so I doubt that'll happen. But as I mentioned, white flag as well. Blanat leads Adam Valera and Benitez, rounding out the top 3 for the penultimate AMX 5 race, or AMX 5 session, or weekend, or whatever you want to call it, of the season. And going wide again there, Evandro Dantas, I mean, his 911 has turned into a lawnmower with quite a bit of horsepower, you could say, more than it needs to cut a bit of grassland, but he's really pushing it now.
So let's see exactly where these guys finish. I mean, everyone's pretty much spread apart, pretty far across the board, the entire grid out there getting spread apart. So I mean, yeah, we've seen that quite often in some of our endurance races, not quite as much in a sprint race like this. So I think definitely the nighttime out here is having its effect on some of these drivers, whether it's just a mental thing saying, you know, I'm not quite as confident in this car and track as I normally am. I get that, especially from being out of the Petit Le Mans. I was probably about a second, at least a second slower once I started getting into the night stints. So I'm glad I got a lot of that out of the way in the day, just trying to set fast lap after fast lap that I could. But yeah, once the sun goes down, it is an entirely different ball game out there on track. But still, nonetheless, Juan Blanat looking great for him out here in heat number 2, as he is going to be coming around the final couple of corners now, back on the back straight going into the Sunset Bend, folks. Here we go around the final corner. Juan Blanat been absolutely dominating it all heat long, all day long from fastest in qualifying. Great battle out in heat number 1, but he came back to redeem himself for heat number 2, coming across the checkered flag, a champion in this second race. Gael Valero coming across in second place, and Ralph Benitez finishing it off in third.
Wow.
So just like that, as we have the final drivers, Julian, I mean, again, not quite the drama that we've seen in heat number 1, but heat number 2, still some great battles nonetheless.
Absolutely, but most particularly, what a drive from Juan Blanat. I mean, not all drivers can go from fighting for the lead and ending up in a wall or out of the contention to then winning by 4 seconds in 12 laps. I mean, what a drive from him.
Yeah, definitely, but still, hey, I mean, heat number 2, there we go back. Your BenQ session winner, Juan Blanat, setting it out there alongside with the fastest lap. Over 4-second gap between himself and Gael Valero coming in second place. Again, Valero having a great day out here all day long. Coming in third place, we got Ralph Benitez. Fourth place, Jackson Asenje. Fifth, Martin Chico. Sixth place, Diego Villarreal. Seventh, Evandro Dantas. Eighth place, Toby Soriano. And rounding it out in ninth place, unfortunately retiring from heat number 2, we got Pedro Dean. Pedro Dean, I mean, it was looking very promising for him as well out here in heat number 2, looking to have his redemption run until he ended up hitting the wall. So we'll have to see, as now, I think, Julian, that may be securing Gael Valero as our AMX 5 champion.
Yeah, we're talking about it at the end of the race, how he was just able to keep it consistent, sound like a broken record, just keeping it consistent. Pedro Dean, his DNF, so sad that he just ran it a bit too wide and hit the wall and just crashed across the track and into the pit wall.
Okay, and again, I mean, we'll have to see exactly where the final results came in. Like I say, it isn't over until it is over, but I think we all know it is pretty much over for AMX 5. Again, we'll have to see who shows up next weekend. I think at this point, it'd be great to see, again, Gael Valero is going to show up for pretty much every race that he can. I think the one that we're going to have to watch is keep an eye out for tomorrow for the TCR, the grand finale there. Again, Gael Valero leading the points by a great majority for the TCR going into tomorrow, but it is going to be a double-header race. So again, we'll have to let you guys know for that, but definitely tomorrow we will be crowning a champion for AMX 10. Next weekend, AMX 15, we will also be crowning a champion there. So much going on towards the end of the season. I think the last couple of seasons, if I'm not mistaken, we've pretty much had guys securing it at least the weekend before the penultimate race of their championship, already taking it home. And right now it is looking like Gael Valero, our champ-elect so far. Like I said, we'll have to wait to see officially if that's going to also be any penalties for that incident that happened earlier on between Juan Blanat and Gael Valero. From my point of view, it looked like that might have been a racing incident, but again, I'm not a racing steward. I don't have to make that calls. We'll have to wait to see exactly where things fall on that, Julian.
Yeah, I'm very much with you on that one. For me, it seemed like a racing incident, just hard, fair racing, and is what you get around Sebring, especially the final corner where the wall just greets the apex, saying good day, and Valero just placed his car there. Blanat not really expecting it, I think, just turning in how he would normally, and Valero's car was there. So very much a racing incident in my eyes, but we'll have to leave the stewards towards it.
Yeah, well, we wait for the final results of the day to come back in. I mean, just a quick recap of, once again, if you guys weren't here to catch the AMX ZERO race today, I highly recommend going back and catching that race, especially heat number 2. We got to see just an absolute, again, David and Goliath story going on out there. We had the youngster, the newcomer, putting out here the underdog, taking home a win over Dudu Barrichello. It coming down, getting really close to the end. Again, Barrichello been absolutely just putting on a great show pretty much every single race that he has come out here for AMX ZERO. So again, I'd love to see all of the Barrichello family be able to come out here for next season, as well as we got a lot of the guys out there. I know there's a lot going on this weekend as well. Some of these guys in other races unable to make it today. I know there's some fan favorites such as Bruno De Carmo, some of the other Delinte guys out here. I know they're out there with another race. So again, hopefully we get to catch them back up next weekend. Like I said, whether it's real racing, sim racing, these guys have tons of responsibilities. But Julian, what was your highlight of the day?
I think it goes without saying, everyone's gonna get this. Get you the rocket over in Virginia International Raceway. What a drive from him. Got the lead off the line, or actually going into turn 4, I believe it was, sending it on Felipe Barton. He's not an easy driver to get past. He has won in AMX ZERO before in the Formula 4 car, I believe, or the Formula Ray, it was an open wheeler, if I'm correct. A great drive from him, and then soaking up the pressure from Dudo Barrichello behind him. That is not the easiest thing to do.
Absolutely, but now we have the results coming in for today's AMX 5 race, and no doubt it is definitely going to be Gael Valero up top in that first place position. We got Juan Blanat coming in second place, and Toby Soriano able to hold it down in third. Going down the list, we got Ralph Benitez in fourth, Jackson SNJ in fifth, Martin Chico and Pedro Dean tying it up for sixth place. Down in eighth place, we got Diego Villarreal, and in ninth, we got Evandro Dantas. So with that, like I said, unofficially, Gael Valero will be going into next week in the grand finale, a champion, able to come out here, set it down, be consistent all season long, weekend after weekend, putting it down just like he has the past 2 seasons, and now 3 seasons in a row, back-to-back-to-back championships for this man. It's been absolutely crazy. Again, we still have a couple of things. If there's going to be any protests, we'll have to wait and see. But as it stands, our champion-elect, Gael Valero, doing an amazing job. Yet another season coming in the books. I mean, this is what we love about it. But, Julian, I'd love it even more if there is someone out here able to take away, be able to come in here, be the underdog of Season 7, and come away with a championship.
I'd love that too, just like a rookie coming in, bringing the fight to Valero, both of them racing hammer and tongue. And we saw that a bit today. I mentioned it throughout. Now, he's not a rookie. He's been in the sport for a while. He's been with us here in AMX for a while, but MX5, I think he joined a bit too late. But next season, Season 7, I think those two can put a real fight to each other. I mean, think of the great championship fights. Think just recently Hamilton, Verstappen, those two, or you can go a bit later, Schumacher and Alonso, just to name a few from Formula 1. I think we can have a real championship fight on our hands next season.
Again, so everyone out there, make sure follow all of our social media, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitch, get alerts for whenever we go live. But we will be back here tomorrow, where we are going to be heading over for the grand finale of our AMX 10 TCR World Tour. We're heading back over to Germany, where we're going to be starting out at the Sachsenring, as well as following it up at the Nürburgring. Couldn't ask for a better place to be getting out here to crown yet another championship. Like I said, things are looking very good for Gael Valero, and there is tomorrow going to be the day that we get to see a 2-time champion once again. We'll have to wait and see. But with that, signing off for AMX, I am Kevin alongside Julian, and we will see you all tomorrow.
comes from nowhere, makes you wonder if you lost control, leaves you breathless, changes what you think is possible. Got me too. Brought me to you. It's got you too. Your magic's true. Your magic's true.